Torún in Poland, and welcome to round 4 of the Drift Masters European Championship. It's been an amazing year, but it's about to get even more amazing as we stand here in a custom 17,000-seater Speedway stadium, which has been transformed, and I do mean transformed, into a custom drift circuit for this weekend. For 5 days, they've been laying tarmac, the walls are out, and the action is underway here in practice.
Torún, Poland. Custom built track in a stadium speedway.
They've laid tarmac on the stadium and it is just insane.
It's just crazy.
The show this weekend is going to be incredible.
Just a crazy atmosphere.
Super excited.
So our original plan to drive this year was in the Irish Championship and the British Championship, but we made a last-minute decision to come to Drift Masters. I came into this championship not expecting much, but we took the win in round 1 and we've been staying in the fight. I thought maybe we finished top 10, but the fight is on now, and hopefully we can stay top 3 in the championship. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to give it one hell of a shot.
We've been running today during practice. I think maybe 6 laps we got, but slowly dialing the car in for qualifying later on. The track is changing slightly as more and more rubber gets left down. All we can do is go out and push as hard as we can and to get up there on top spot in qualifying. Hopefully we can do that today.
We were very unlucky in round 3. We were feeling so good in practice, but the car broke down. The competition is so high, to be honest, I wasn't expecting that. You got about 60 to 70 pro drivers. It's even hard to qualify over here. So hopefully by next year I'll be doing the whole championship. I'll be able to get good points.
The level of driving out there is really high. Some international drivers pushing really hard. Ahmed Daham from the Middle East, he's on a mission out there. It's great to see him driving well and having fun with those walls. And Nigel's doing good. The Shanahan brothers, they're pushing hard. It's their first time here, and the level's going to be really high this weekend. If you want to get on that podium, you're going to have to risk it all. It's just absolutely insane.
We've had like a really struggling season so far. We've had some problems with the car. The standard of driving is absolutely incredible. Right now we're top 10 in the championship, and the aim was when we got here at the start of the year was to try finish top 5. So there's 3 rounds left technically, and our aim is still visible. So hopefully we can push hard and actually get some podiums and better results for the rest of the season, and yeah, finish out the championship strong and see where we end up in the big pond.
Drivers are pushing so hard, they don't really care about their cars, they just care about winning.
So that's it. That wraps up qualifying here at round 4 of the Drift Masters European Championship 2018 Torún in Poland. We're going to have a chat with our top 3 qualifiers. Person taking 3rd place is Paweł Trela. Good to see you back on form, smashing your car off of the walls. How do you feel, mate?
Very good. I'm very happy for this spot as we had 0 in the first run, so the second should be like more safe probably, but I tried to do my best.
Doesn't look like you are ready for head-to-head battles in top 32 right now. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with the car.
We try to find a little of horsepower that we lost with the completely new engine and completely new turbo, as it's the same specs like the old one, but still it's a little bit strange thing because we don't know what happened, but it's just 150 horsepower less than it's supposed to be. For qualification it wasn't be a problem, we just did some adjustments with the tire pressure, and that's all. But for tomorrow, for battles, we for sure need a little bit more horsepower to get much more speed.
Well, dude, it's good to see you back where you belong, and that's inside that top 32. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in top 32. Thanks, man.
We need a big run for him. Remember, he tried a big entry last time, didn't work. Worked better this time.
Yeah,
nice entry.
Not better from Paweł Trela, like you say, David. He stays at the wall, perfectly timed. Transition down into that front zone, collects that second front zone. Now he gets back into the wall. You can see him just using the foot brake to slow the front of the car down to keep angle, keep himself up the bank. Good job so far from Trela. Now he transitions back for one more final wall run. Can he find himself a place on top 32? And it looks good from where I'm sitting, Dave, as he takes it over the line.
That's a fantastic work from Paweł Trela there.
Jack Shanahan, you just come 2nd in qualifying. It's good to see the Jack Shanahan that we've all come to learn and love back on form and mixing up in this championship. A very, very demanding track here in Poland, but it looks like you had it nailed.
Yeah, this track is absolutely insane. The amount of cars that have been absolutely wrecked in practice is insane. I've done my fair share of damage myself, but we've been lucky enough not to get sucked in and dialed the line in and just had an unbelievable day. I'm feeling happy, feeling stoked. The car is working, I'm working, and the track is insane. The atmosphere is sick, and I cannot wait for tomorrow.
Head-to-head battles tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing that Jack Shanahan that gets on the door and takes names. Congratulations, buddy. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Cheers, man.
It's Jack Shanahan, the linked engine man, to try his tires S14.
Whoa, he's going for risk. Oh, Dave, he fires that car on the wall, almost makes big contact. Jack Shanahan leaving nothing out here as he transitions out. Absolutely perfect. Almost catches what's left of that front bumper on the wall again as he gets nice and deep into it again.
It's a big run in, he's going for it here, he's going for it into the 90s if he can. It's to keep it together. It's this last section that's going to catch him. He goes in very fast, can't get sucked into that wall, but does it. And look at that wall run from Jack Shanahan, slamming the rear end of the car to pieces.
Congratulations, James Dean. You just took 1st place in qualifying. Again, a very, very tough grid here at round 4 Drift Masters European Championship. Everyone pushing really, really hard.
Everyone pushing really, really hard. Tough out here. The track is very tricky. You can get it wrong very, very easily. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of crashes here today. Not the way you want to see it, but it's motorsport and everyone is pushing so hard. There's, everyone is risking everything. But qualified first, just about. Jack Shanahan right behind me in 2nd place. He's a man on a mission this weekend. Great to see him back on form. And so many internationals right behind him. So very close on the points, and it's just showing that tomorrow's main event is going to be absolutely incredible. I can't wait for some tandem battles. It's going to be a fun one for sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in them tandem battles, and fingers crossed you get on the top step of the podium again. Congratulations, dude.
Thank you very much.
Now he's going to come out here and try to put a statement down and say, this is my championship, back off.
Yeah, I mean, listen, James Dean's going to be looking to take top spot in qualifying, but what has he got as he fires that Falcon tyres Workhouse S14, and look how close he is on that front clip. James Dean almost taking the front bumper, precision driving again from the machine as he gets on the wall in the 2nd outer zone. You can just see that front wheel slowing down. Now it drops down into the centre of the circuit. James Dean absolutely perfect, carrying a lot of speed. That teal and blue getting nice and high on the bank, and James Dean running that big country laps wing over the wall and across the line. James Dean does it again.
I think that's as much as he can do.
So that's it. Day 1 of round 4 done and dusted. And what a day it was. We see spills, thrills and high-speed action. If that's what you're into, well, stay tuned, because we're about to kick off top 32 head-to-head action right here in Torún in Poland. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Torún in Poland for round 4 of the Drift Masters European Championship. After a very, very heated qualifying session, which saw a lot of drivers in the wall, the story has continued here at the main event as we head towards top 32. Ryan, survival of the fittest out there.
Yeah, I mean, practice was definitely a practice of attrition. We saw a lot of guys go into the wall, and who knows whether or not they're going to be back out there on the lineup. But, you know, this is the moment that we've pretty much been waiting for throughout this long weekend, culminating in the head-to-head matchups, the essence of drifting, as we like to say. And it looks like it's going to be a phenomenal event.
And, of course, after qualifying, a lot of the big contenders for the championship struggling and then ending up at the bottom end of the bracket, meaning we're going to see some big names going up against each other straight away, which is going to mix up that championship order. And a lot of guys who maybe been sitting outside that top 10 now looking at around the pits at everybody in despair with their cars all ruined. Even our current championship leader, James Dean, who's in our first battle, still has not got his car running as we speak right now.
What's interesting about James is, you know, from an outsider's perspective, seeing James and Connor go do battle in round 1, that's going to be an impossibility in this particular event because they're on the left side of the bracket together. But James could potentially face his brother Jack, who's on the right-hand side of the bracket, qualified second. But there's so many other battles to come. That's just a theoretical possibility, and who knows what could happen.
Yeah, of course, our first battle of the evening will be James Dean, our current championship points leader, going up against the guy in 4th position, Zaleski, who's usually, these guys meet around top 8, top 4. Now they got to go for the first battle of the day. And at the moment, the advantage laying with Bartosz, as James, in practice, his car shuts down. He gets hit by Ahmed Daham into the tire bale. And of course, that is because an ECU earth problem is discovered in the car. They cannot figure it out at this moment. They're trying to swap ECUs in the car. They've got computers plugged in. It's not the perfect start to the weekend, and as I said before, something about this place, about the fact that we're laying down custom tarmac, the fact that it's so unique as an event, surely it's going to produce some moments that are completely out of left field.
It's been a hodgepodge of sensational wrecks, guys having to deal with challenges in their vehicles, the constant changing conditions with more grip being applied down to the track. Obviously, this you know, amazing auditorium, the fans that are coming in presenting that level as well. So yeah, it's going to be pretty sick.
And of course, we were sitting here preparing for this show for you guys to watch the action, and then there was motocross freestyle guys jumping, there was SpongeBob SquarePants running around, there was guys on stunt bikes, we've had a JDM display of cars, lots of entertainment for everybody here, and the crowd getting more and more pumped up for what, as you mentioned, the main event, which is that top 32. We call it the formality. Qualifying was anything but yesterday. It was about survival. Guys went in the wall. Even guys who had finished top 5 in qualifying were crashing out on their second run, showing who is comfortable on this track. As I said, there isn't one tail light or rear bumper left undamaged on that grid, showing just how hard these guys are pushing. And again, we mentioned it yesterday, the level of competition here, 21 nations going to war. Well, you got to be pushing that hard, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, this is not only, you know, a stage that the world is watching. There's also just the pride of being able to compete against the top competitors in the region and figure out who's going to be that guy on top. Is it going to be somebody that we don't know from a smaller country, or is it going to be one of the guys that has a recognizable name? From what I'm seeing, it's anybody's game at this point, especially with what we've seen with the vehicle attrition and how treacherous that wall can be.
Absolutely, and of course, if you look at our Nations Cup, which is played behind the scenes here, essentially the top 2 drivers from each nation in the fixtures when it lands score points for their nation.
Yeah.
Right now, after 3 rounds, Poland and Ireland separated by 1 point, and those are in the 200s, those points. And our first battle out is Poland versus Ireland. It's the championship leader versus the 4th in the championship. So right from the off, we're going to have a very interesting story here throughout the day. Of course, Ryan, you're joining us this weekend, a guest from Formula Drift. You guys are obviously, if you're Drift fans, you're very aware of who Ryan is. If you're not, Ryan works on the US series, and over this weekend with a lot of friends over here to have a lot of fun. It's sort of like a party for everybody that's involved in drifting, and what a place and what a showpiece to be attending for it. We're also going to talk to you guys about the criteria. If you're new to watching drifting, it's a little bit different than most motorsports. It's not just about a start and finish line. It's not about the stopwatch. Essentially, it's not a race. This is sort of like figure skating, WWE, and cars all came together and sort of said, let's make a sport. So we have a judge sport here. It's criteria based, and of course, the judges give that majority win to the driver they want to proceed to the next stage of competition. It's a little complicated, but the great thing is, intuitively, we're going to tell you how it works right throughout the event. So let's start start with the basics. Well, yesterday we had qualifying, and a qualifying line is what those judges were looking for. To explain what that qualifying line is, we're actually going to hand over to the very guys that are going to be eliminating those guys today, or getting them through to the next stage of competition. So we're going to go over to our three judges. This is Kevin O'Connell, Kieran Hines, and David Callas. And Kevin is going to explain to us about the qualifying line, what the lead driver is going to try and do in a battle, and of course, more importantly now and more relevant, what the chase driver is going to do.
Thank you, Dave. So starting from our qualifying line, as we were talking about, what we first want the lead driver to do is stick it onto that qualifying line like we saw in yesterday's session. From the initiation point, we want the lead driver to stay with the rear of the car all the way through outer zone 1, then filling the inner zone 1 with the front of the car. A nice smooth transition back onto inner zone 2, and then getting the rear of the car back onto the wall at outer zone 2. From the end of outer zone 2, we want the lead driver to come away slightly from the wide line, back into the transition part in front of us here, and maintain then a fast and smooth transition back into the touch and go, filling that touch and go completely, maintaining that nice wide outside line all the way then through the final corner, filling outer zone 3 fully and over the finish line. But what we wanted the chase driver to do then is be as aggressive as possible, but what we're maintaining proximity all the way through that track. But this track does have its own challenges, and what we really don't want to see is a lot of diving from the chase driver. And the parts of the track that we really will be focusing in on are the initiation point into outer zone 1, just after the transition past inner zone 1 and back into outer zone 2. We've seen a lot of drivers making a dive here, which we really don't want to see. We want the chase driver to maintain that qualifying line and fill outer zone 2 completely. And then coming into the touch and go as well, we also want that chase driver to fill that touch and go as much as possible. We really want the chase driver to be sitting on the lead driver's door, not on their front wheel, even if possible on their rear quarter, and maintaining that outside line as well. If that chase driver can maintain that qualifying line while also matching the lead driver's angle, they're really going to score highly here, and it's going to be a really aggressive and close run.
Well, there you have it from Kevin O'Connell. So, right, it is a very technical circuit, and technicality is one thing, but danger is another. There's two, what we're seeing, apart from the judging criteria, is two main zones of, well, I was going to say a big impact, but that's a very figurative and literally saying one of those outer zones, outer zone 1, has got tires in front of it. Yeah. Now, what that's doing is saving some chassis from being completely destroyed, but it is meaning that if you catch that a little heavy, it's going to turn the front of the car into those tires. Then as you transition through the inner zones, you then get to a pure concrete wall, which has no protection whatsoever. That is just a straight up concrete wall. So we're seeing some drivers, have major incidents on the concrete wall. Yep. Some drivers getting sort of any slight error sucking them into the tire wall on the first battle. So it's very hard for a driver to know how hard to push here. Yeah. And I think there's sort of a threading the needle approach what we saw yesterday of just about getting away with it at times.
I think so. I mean, if you can get past the walls, there's also your competitor to do battle with as well, and one of the things I noticed yesterday is that there are some distinct deceleration zones on this course, and with the amount of proximity these guys have been pushing in practice, they're really going to want to keep an eye on that, especially in the lead position, to make sure that they're not decelling in an area where they shouldn't be, and that the chase driver understands what the tendencies are of that lead driver so he can maximize his ability to attack that driver and try to give himself an advantage.
Absolutely, and of course, we've talked about the danger of this track, and it's no more evident than when you take a small walk around the pit area, which is just outside the stadium here. My good friend Ian Waddington was down there. I think he's down there he's still down there. I mean, to be honest, it's a long walk because there's a lot of carnage down there. He's down there just making sure if guys are ready for this top 32, and that's the big question. Yeah. We've had some big shunts in practice. Will guys even make it back out? Ian, what's going on?
Thanks, Dave. Yep, I'm down in the pits here at Torún, and there is some serious amount of carnage. A lot of these guys, they pushed hard in qualifying yesterday, but today in pro top 32 practice, they're pushing beyond the limits. You can see here Sebastian Fontaine took his car deep into the wall, had a bit of an issue, took Gregor's hip key with him. As you can see, the team here working tirelessly to get this car back together again. Fontaine not having the best of weekends. You can see replaced all of the front lower control arm, the steering components. You can see Casper Christensen getting himself in the mix. Jack Shanahan's mechanic helping out there. It's like a real family affair down here at this round. A lot of people having big issues, and everyone kind of just jumping in to get involved and get these guys back out for action. We're just going to have a quick walk over. I know that Grzegorz Hipki's car took a big hit. The rear suspension was damaged quite badly, and I know the guys were working tirelessly. He's got a very, very good crew here, and, you know, not qualifying the best Grzegorz Hipki. So for him really to take a hit in the competition this early on the stage, you can see him just getting inside the car. He's happy, he's waving. The crew working very, very well to get that car back together again. We even see James Dean in the wall earlier in practice. A huge surprise to everybody, you know, not something you expect to see. The machine, but not his own fault. Car cut out, he had a bit of an issue with a grounding wire. Sent him into the wall. Ahmed Daham hit him as well. So listen, a lot of stories going on, a lot of information to be fed back to you guys of what exactly is going on here. But a lot of guys that had impacts in the wall yesterday in qualifying looking very, very good today. Torún Kavia, look at this, chilled out, having lunch, car ready to go for action. And you know what? Very, very different story as we walk around the pits. Karkoshik having big issues earlier. Him and Zaleski getting mixed up with each other. Big impacts. Karkoshik's team having to rebuild the back end of this car. As you can see, we spoke about it yesterday in qualifying. Karkoshik's car turns up to these events looking absolutely immaculate and always ends up leaving in bits. Look at that car built with gaffer tape and zip ties, but you know what? Karkoshik's got one of the best crews in the game, and that car is always ready to go for top 32 action. So we're going to wrap this up and get back to you. I'm going to come and join you in the commentary tower, Dave. I think it's almost time to kick off top 32 action here at round 4 of the Drift Masters European Championship.
Thanks, Ian. Ian's been down there checking things out, and it's been a tough game for the people that you don't see behind the scenes, those teams.
Oh, for sure.
You come into this arena, you're the attention seeker, you're the guy out there driving the car, everybody knows your name, but there was a lot of unsung heroes this weekend behind the scenes, and what I'm really enjoying seeing is that all of the different teams from 21 nations running with parts, getting everybody back out there. There's wheels and parts and suspension from 4 cars in some cars, and everybody's saying if you want to be the best here, you've got to beat the best, and you can only beat them in the stadium, not when you're outside in the repairing cars.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you bring up a great point about just how important it is to have that support system here, whether it's family and friends or guys that are wrenching on your car, to put your vehicle in a competition situation that gives you the best possible shot to take out the best athletes from Europe.
Absolutely. Now, of course, we're going to head to that top 32 bracket now, and with a small bit of anticipation, a lot of excitement, and some nervousness, we're going to tell you guys what the exact criteria is to get through this very tough top 32. So, here's the tandem battle criteria. If you're new to judging, to the judging system here at Drift Masters, well, this is going to get you up to speed. Battles are scored on lead car's line and chase car's proximity. Battles are scored on a 5-5 basis in conjunction with comparing the lead to lead and chase to chase. There are no 5-minute rules, and there is a maximum of one more time per battle, after which the judges must make a decision. If the judges cannot come to a decision in the one more time battle, a decision can be based on both combined runs. In the event of 2 incomplete runs in a one more time battle, judges will fall back to who qualified highest. There are 2 possible initiation procedures, single file or side by side. In single file, the chase drivers choose to initiate behind the lead driver. In side by side, the chase driver chooses to initiate immediately beside the lead driver, within the full width of the chase vehicle lane. Lead car goals. This is what the guy in front is trying to do. Run the qualifying line, which Kevin explained earlier. Run a 100-point qualifying run. Easier said than done. Run a chaseable lead run, meaning the chase car can actually get close. Follow the acceleration and deceleration map. The chase driver goals, well, they initiate no later than the lead driver, maintain close proximity to the lead driver, match or better the lead driver's angle, and mimic the lead driver's transitions and line throughout the course. Hitting a cone does not necessarily constitute a points deduction, and drivers will score a 0 for spinning out, stopping drifting completely, 2 wheels off, prolonged straightening or understeer, an inactive chase, an illegal pass or overtake, getting legally passed or overtaken, opposite drift, as in drifting the opposite angle for that point of the course, or the hood, hatch, trunk, or doors opening during a run. Straightening or understeer will result in a points deduction throughout the duration of the straight and understeer, depending on the severity. So if you've got a really bad one, it's going to be a 0, and everything else you're bleeding points from the judges. A 0 will be scored for prolonged straightening or understeer. Now, that sounds very complicated. I'm joined once again at the tower by my good friend Ian Waddington. Ian, it sounds complicated. What it really means here on this track is the lead car has got to be right out to those walls, got to be running that rear bumper close enough that he's wowing us in the crowd, getting the line right, however, not making heavy contact to cause a waiver or huge damage to the car. The chase driver, well, he's got to mirror what the lead car is doing, get as close as possible without making contact. That's the simplest way I can put it. That's how I understand it. There's a lot more technicality to it, and of course, with our judges, we will be talking around that technicality. As we go through those decisions, we'll be able to get them to explain. So when we look at this in the real world, and we're about to get some real battles underway here, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to look at this in the virtual world, and of course, thanks to the technology nowadays, we're able to show you what a twin battle is going to look like, Ian, and this track is particularly challenging.
Yeah, very challenging, Dave. Like you say, we're going to head to the virtual now, and as you can see, they come off the start line side by side. And the chase car is going to drop in just in that rear position. You can see lead car nice and close to that wall, and the chase car in that zone. So judges saying they wanted to see the chase car being able to get into those clipping zones. You can see now nice transition back from the chase car, nice and close, good proximity here. Shallow angle from both guys, but allowing the chase driver to get on the door.
Absolutely, they don't want the chase car to drop right down to the inside of the circuit, essentially trying to overtake the lead car. It's got to stay mirroring him all the way on the outside of the course. Not right out to the wall sometimes, but as close as possible. And it's across the finish line. Very tough circuit. We've seen some, you know what, we could have filmed practice today and we could have put that out as the finals and everyone would have been happy, because I was watching guys throw down like we haven't seen all season. But with that came the risk. With that, it came, from my perspective, a lot of crashes. A lot of guys getting too comfortable. A lot of guys saying, you know what, this track might not be as hard as I thought it was yesterday. And all of a sudden, they're hitting the walls. They're breaking suspension. There's wheels coming off the cars. There's chassis damage. That is the side effect, I suppose, of the level we're at here, but also the custom arena. 5 days ago, tarmac's starting to be laid here. It's custom, never been, I mean, it's going to be torn up tomorrow. Like, this is just for today, for your entertainment, where they put down this entire section of tarmac. However, to surround that tarmac, and in the space provided here in the Speedway Stadium in the Motoarena in Torún, you've got to have very sharp angle corners, which are concrete blocks or tire barriers in this case. And also, it's very dangerous because you haven't got much room to maneuver outside of those. You've got to protect the audience from the cars, therefore it cannot be movable. So what we've seen is a lot of busy men in trucks and cranes trying to replace, and now we've got a whole paddock. But I think at this stage, everybody who hasn't qualified is out there helping right now.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, we see a lot of guys out there helping, and you see in that little bit I just done down there live in the pits, we see like Casper Christensen, you see Jack Shanahan's mechanic down there trying to help these guys get these cars back together. I mean, I can't even state, there was too many people around Sebastian Fontein's car to get in there with the camera. You know, we didn't want to get in the way. Those guys are trying to fix that car. But for us in the UK, the driver's side front suspension turret was actually folded up. So he had that much contact that it's started to pull the turret away. Them guys are like in there with sledgehammers, port powers, trying to get that car straight again. It's just insane. I didn't manage to get over to Jim Olofsson. When we see at round 3, Jim Olofsson take that Simpson safety equipment BMW to its roof, and just earlier on in practice, he qualified well yesterday. Earlier on in practice, he caught the wall, and he has absolutely torn the car up, Dave. I mean, there wasn't one wheel on it.
No, it's a big hit, and a lot of big hits for those guys. Just showing how safe these modern competition cars are, and of course the safety regulations implicated here in the Drift Masters European Championship. However, it's still a big hit, and a lot of times it's their pride in the pocket, because those guys cannot compete now in the top 32, eliminating themselves after qualification, which is something we rarely see.
Yeah.
But with that top 32 practice, and there was quite a lot of it today, every run was a risky run, and I think I spoke to a lot of the drivers as we walked along. And just to let you know, Jack Shanahan is out there. He's got 2 croquet. You know the game croquet? It's a bit like golf, but on the grass in a very posh game from your part of the world.
Yep.
He's got 2 croquet sticks in the back of the car holding his bodywork together that he bought in a sports shop down the road. That's how much resourcefulness they need right now to get these cars working. And right now we're hearing reports in the pits that James Dean is in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, we heard, a lot of you guys, if you follow me or Dave on social media, and a lot of the other guys around here, yeah, James Dean took his the Falcon Tyre Worthhouse S14 to the wall. We thought it was a mistake, a driver error. We know that guy's tired. He is putting in some work this year. Back-to-back of championships. He's also going out to the Red Bull Drift Shifters tomorrow in Liverpool in the UK. So he's flying out tonight. He looked tired yesterday. He said to me, "You know what, dude? I am so tired." He said, "I do not get no downtime. If I'm not in America fixing my FD car, I'm in Europe fixing my my Drift Masters car." He said the car cut out. He put it into the wall, narrowly avoiding contact with Ahmad Daham, and he's still now got those issues. But you know what? I do believe we're going to go down to the start line, because I do believe we do have Bartosz Zaleski on the line ready to go, which means now, Dave, 2 minutes.
Yeah, James Dean's got 2 minutes to get into this arena and get his car working.
Championship leader now, 2 minutes.
This is huge right now. It may not be happening on track.
But it's huge. It's huge in 2 ways, right? Sorry. I'm excited about this one.
You should be.
Because there's loads of different things going on right now. Right, Bartosz Zaleski had a terrible qualifying session. Qualified quite a way down the order. He sits in 4th place in the championship. Now, if James Dean bows out of competition in top 32, Bartosz Zaleski now starts to claw some points back and starts to open the championship up
And if he was
again.
to win today, I think he would
I think he
definitely go by James Dean in the championship.
Or Conor Shanahan or Gregor Hipke. We see Gregor Hipke take his car to the door. Him and Conor Shanahan didn't look comfortable in qualifying.
No, and the clock is ticking for James right now. He's reporting an earth wiring problem on his car, and they seem to be having huge difficulties getting that S14 to run. You can see how our Starlight Marshal even looking back to see will he appear. It's amazing here because it's a full tunnel into the stadium.
I mean,
so if it's got to come down the tunnel, and we have got James Dean coming through the tunnel. That is incredible. You can see it there. He has only got 50 seconds to get on the start line, warm his tires. We thought the championship had just been blown wide open, and if that is a good way to start it, 1 minute on the clock for James Dean to get to that start line. He's reporting the car not 100%, but he's got to stay in this to keep the championship alive.
Yeah, I mean, listen, right now, I mean, I'm just hoping that this car holds together and he manages to, to put in a run. We can see Zaleski's just left the line to warm his tyres. You can see, look at the damage on the front of that car, missing that front arch, damage to the door. He took it to the wall very, very hard, bent up quite a lot of suspension components. He's got a very good crew down there. And do you know what, for me, James Dean's such a likeable character that nearly the whole paddock was in his pits throwing hammers and spanners and tools around. And you know what? I think we're ready to go, Dave.
We are ready to send cars here for the top 32 of round 4 of the Drift Masters European Championship from Torún in Poland, a custom stadium track. And for the next couple of hours, anything could happen. But the man in that teal and blue Worthhouse Falcon Tire S14 is the man to beat right now. He is the current championship leader. And Bartosz Zaleski, sitting in 4th place in the championship, meets him now and maybe smells a little bit of blood in the water here as he comes right onto the back rear quarter of James Dean's car. They initiate side by side, and look at Zaleski right there with James Dean. A little bit of wavering from Zaleski, and looks like James Dean's car is back working against Zaleski, making a huge dive, but he's dived too early, got lost in the smoke, Ian.
Yeah, Zaleski getting lost up in James Dean's smoke, like you say, just couldn't manage to find his way through. Now starts to be on the back foot in this battle. He needs to really pull it out of the bag if he's going to try and overturn anything, and this Dean throws it to the wall. Absolutely clinical from James Dean, as always. And they come across the line, Zaleski looking like the underdog in this half of the battle.
Yeah, and you know what? It looked like he came in with a very aggressive entry into that first corner. He knew it's the championship leader. I got to be aggressive here. But just as they went to transition, it looked like he got a little too close. The smoke from James Dean's car completely covered his windscreen. Yeah. And when he popped back out of the smoke, he was in the wrong section of the track.
Listen, Zaleski earlier had an incident, and he got caught up with David Karkošik. And those two cars come together, and I do believe that Karkošik was like on top of Zaleski's car. So Zaleski, you know what? Maybe that car not 100% after taking a few hits this weekend. You could just see there a big issue. Starts to find his way back into it, but a very, very difficult place now for Zaleski to be. He kind of needs to try and drive away in his lead run, but we know that James Dean is a master of chase driving, so not the easiest task on his hands right now.
No, James Dean's going to be told from his crew that he's got a little bit of an advantage here. He should go close and seal the deal, get himself into the top 16. Zaleski's going to have to put in the lead run of a lifetime here and hope that his 1100 horsepower S14 creates enough smoke to cause problems for James Dean on transition.
So they're on the line. They both get the thumbs up. We await to get the go from our start line.
Just incredible to think that between both of these drivers, over 140 podiums in their career. That is how much.
James Dean almost hitting the back of Zaleski down on initiation. Sorry, Dave, to jump in there.
Well, wavering from James Dean there, a little bit of a slow initiation from him. He's got the advantage at this point, but can he stay with Zaleski? Oh, James Dean, it looks like a big dive down the inside. Judges saying they didn't want to see too much of that. And as Zaleski now, look at this, James Dean starting to reel in the Polish driver as they come to the transition. Dean makes one last ditch effort to get on the door, and he is right there as they come through that last zone.
Yeah, like you say, one last-ditch effort as they come over the finish line, side by side, but a big error there. Looked like he straightened massively coming into that front inner zone.
I think Zaleski's may have been the bigger error over the two, but not a solid. You see James Dean gets dropped to the inside, a little waiver there, though, straightens up on the inside of the bank, and as they transition here, you can see, look at the dive he makes here on the inside of the course, James Dean, right to get back out onto the door. He's back into the outer zone again, so you can see, does the work from the second half of the course, but not a smooth run from either of these drivers, considering they're 1st and 4th in the championship. It goes to show the challenge that's ahead of them this weekend between both the machinery not working properly and this very, very difficult track in Torún in Poland.
Yeah, and worth noting me saying that Zaleski was way down the order. He actually qualified in 32nd position, hence why he's battling our first place qualifier.
Absolutely. Good mathematics there.
Very good mathematics, yeah.
And of course, these guys, two of the biggest names in European drifting, but one will be going home after this judging decision. And it's very interesting to me to know what way it's going to go from this point on. Where I'm actually interested to see is the mistakes on both sides will now be balanced out with our judges to see who made the bigger errors over the two runs.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, the judges now are going to be picking out who made the lesser error. Was like you say, was Bartosz Zaleski's
Well, here we go.
bigger?
It's for a spot in the top 16. Slide him left for Zaleski, right for James Dean. It's the first decision in our top 16 here in Torún. And Kieran goes, there you have 2 votes. James Dean gets the win, goes through to our top 16. Throw it back to the judges quickly. Some mistakes on both sides.
Yeah, there was mistakes on both runs there. The biggest mistake really was Bartosz inner zone 2 right here in front of us. There's a rule, drifting in the opposite direction from the direction you should be going is a 0, so he scored a 0 because he came into inner zone 2 and had to shut out, back out of it and drifted the other direction to get away. So that was a 10-0 in the first one. James did have he did shallow up his angle a lot, but on outer zone 1 on the second run in the chase position, and we marked him back for it, and you know, but it's not enough to overturn the first error.
So one big error gets you sent home here at the Driftmaster Euro Championship. Next up, the battle is up as Jim Olofsson versus Juha Poitalakso. The Finnish driver, however, will get a bye run in this as Jim Olofsson, as you mentioned earlier, completely twisting his BMW in a very, very big impact with the concrete during the practice session, which means Juha, who's looked very strong in practice, will go through to face James Dean. What a start to the top 16 that is.
What? How you can't start the top 16 with a battle like that?
Yeah, well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it because
you are Poitalakso, Dave. We've got to say, like you just said, in practice was looking absolutely flawless. The car making a huge amount of smoke. A lot of drivers getting caught on the transition, on the cut through in the middle of the track. A lot of guys getting caught up in the smoke as they come into the wall blind. You know, could not see where they was going. So straightening. Yeah, is that a tactic for Juha Poitalakso there? A little smoke screen game.
Like James Bond in the 70s. Just hit the button.
Just hitting the button.
Blind your opponent, and away you go.
And away you go.
To be honest, Juha Poitalakso has had some hits to the wall also this weekend. And for me, going into that top 16, he's sitting pretty comfortably in that championship. He's within the top 10.
Yep.
And going up against James Dean in the top 16, take James Dean down, and he looks like he's struggling a little bit out there, James Dean. Here's a case of saying, does this now put me into championship contention?
Yeah.
Of course, you got to stop the guy that's running away with it in order to open up the rest of the field. So I think there's going to be about 6 to 8 drivers watching that battle very carefully to see what happens between Dean and Poitalakso. But right now, Poitalakso will just take to the circuit just to get a pass, just to make sure he has equal laps of everybody else on the course. This incredible car as well, still going in one piece with 900 horsepower, this E92 M3 with a 4 Series front end, and he is the current Finnish champion and European Drift GP champion. So he comes in here with a stacked amount of awards behind him. He comes in as the current Drift GP European Championship winner, and he also goes up against the current Formula Drift Championship winner. So that's just our top 16 in. That goes to show how much we're going to watch before we're out of here this evening of insane battles.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very, very tight top 16 and some good door-on-door action as we see Juha Poitalakso getting the thumbs up and ready to go. Also worth pointing out, Dave, that when our start line camera went down to give the result to James Dean, he sat in the car with his hat off, shaking his head. So maybe even himself not feeling 110% confident in the car or in himself, as Poitalakso puts on a show for the crowds here at Torún in Poland, smoking out the arena and firing that car to the wall with no regard to that rear bumper.
No, and it's, to me it doesn't seem like Juha ever has any regard for what goes on in this car. But the problem is for Juha is that he's not going to get paced here against anybody and get a battle under his belt. He's got to go straight in with a competitive battle against James Dean.
But let me tell you something. I was talking to a couple of the spotters earlier, and this is how technical these guys are now getting in this championship. They are timing drivers' runs with a stopwatch, so they know how fast guys are around this circuit.
That's pretty incredible.
I mean, I've never heard of that.
Because I introed the whole thing saying we don't use a stopwatch in this sport, but people are.
Yeah, literally just an hour ago. We need to make this a decision official. Obviously, we know Juha Poitalexco is going to take the win. Unfortunately, Jim Olofsson again testing those Simpson race products, Dave, and saying that they work flawlessly.
Well, Jim is still smiling, so they obviously do, and he's had some big hits.
He was happy as Larry in the pits.
He's had the biggest crash 2 rounds in a row. I don't know if that's an award you want to have, but it goes to show how hard.
He ripped the subframe out of the car and said it was unfixable. They'd even tried to rebuild it in the pits with a MIG welder.
Wow. So here we move along to Sebastian Fontin and Grzegorz Hipki, 2 guys who crashed in practice, Ian, and Fontin's car was in ribbons.
I mean, ribbons, Dave, is an understatement. There was no front, rear. The front wheel was ripped off the car and on the back of the lorry. I mean, like I say, I'm not trying to get followers on Instagram. Maybe I am a little bit. But yeah, I got some good Instagram stories of that car in the air. And it was in absolute bits.
It doesn't look like it's got 4 matching wheels at this point, but he's still in the fight now, which is going to unnerve him a little bit. Hipki getting a big hit with another driver on the track as well, if it was Karkoshik, I believe.
Karkoshik earlier in the day,
and he's got to repair suspension on the car. So both these guys are coming in here with very little alignment, and they've both had big incidents. Now they've got to go head to head. This is another big battle. Hipki sits 2nd in the championship. He's seeing James Dean not at his comfortable best, saying, I've got to get up the leaderboard here to get points on the board. He goes up against a very informed Dutchman in Sebastian Fontin in that red E36 2JZ BMW. I would not like to pick a winner here. Both these guys have been on incredible form.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Sebastian Fontin yesterday came out in that second qualifying run and he found the form that we're used to seeing from him. Absolutely smoked out the arena, put on a very, very good show for the fans. And, you know what? I don't even know what way this is going to go. Obviously, there's a little bit of beef there. These guys having a big impact earlier on in the day. We'll wait to get the thumbs up from our start line, Marshall.
And there you have it.
There we go, yeah. And eyes on the prize. Green light means go. And these guys are off. It will be Sebastian Fontin to lead out Grzegorz Hipki for a spot in top 16. Look at these pushing very, very hard. Big flick initiation. Remembering Sebastian Fontin's car not 110% as he fires it to the wall again. Just drops down enough to clutch that front inner clip. On a very, very good line now, Sebastian Fontin, and leaving Grzegorz Hipki on the transition. Hipki now starts to find the proximity, but not on the door like we used to see him, Dave.
No, Hipki looks like he's struggling for pace here. Fontin is up and gone. Oh, Hipki tags the water barriers a little bit on the inside of the corner, and a desperate last-ditch attempt to get back onto Sebastian. I cannot believe even Sebastian's car is on the track.
He's way down the bank.
Yeah, Hipki's making big errors there. Is it Freaky Friday here, or has everybody just swapped around their positions from the last round? Because now Sebastian Fontin looks like, to me, he's taking an advantage against Hipki here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, yeah, Fontin, like I said, looked very good in qualifying. A few mistakes from Fontin in that lead position. He wasn't in the best place when he initiated. He didn't get nice and high up on the bank, and kind of scrappy line as he come through those 2 front inner clips. But for me, Grzegorz Hipki getting way low on the bank, getting lost from Sebastian Fontin. I mean, Hipki hasn't pulled to the line yet, though, Dave. Is there an issue with that Drift Warriors E30?
Yeah, incredible stuff as Sebastian Fontin. I mean, I can't even believe his car is back out there. Those wheels off the car in practice. That was only an hour ago.
The rear wheel was split in half. So the one bit was bolted to the hub. The rest was gone.
Was just sitting on the track. But now Hipki, we expect him to come in here straight off, second position on the podium in Riga, and coming in here second in the championship. Well, and now he's on the ropes. He's got it, and he's in the lead position here.
Fontin qualifying in 8th position. Hipki way down in the order in 25th. So this couldn't be Hipki's weekend as they come off the line. It will be Fontin to chase down Hipki now as Hipki fires that car to the wall. Fontin looks to get on the door, but Fontin now makes a mistake and drops down. Hipki looking strong as he drops off of that wide line to the.
And Fontin goes up in 2 wheels.
And Fontin almost rolls the car. Hipki stays in it.
Yeah, you can see Sebastian Fontin had a huge moment there as the car lifted off the ground.
And Grzegorz Hipki, for me, Dave, has just been handed a free pass into top 16.
You know what? He got away with that one. And you know what? It's a similar story for Sebastian Fontin at the round before, where James Dean was dropping wheels. He was off the track, and Sebastian just couldn't finish the job.
Do you know what? That was close to a roll.
Yeah, and that was a very frightening moment for Sebastian Fontin. We'll watch it here on the replay. He messes up completely. He comes down and he's trying to dive through the smoke here. Look, as he transitions too early.
Did the car, did something break? Oh, wow.
Way up on 2 wheels, so Sebastian Fontin. You cannot say it's not exciting, and that is exactly what we've expected.
Wow. Unbelievable action here at round 4 of the Drift Masters European Championship. He's out of the car. He's given a round of applause. So, yeah, Grzegorz Hipki, Sebastian Fontin out of the car. And you just see we've got a camera down there now. And, I mean, yeah, that car was in ribbons just a matter of Did he debead a tyre?
I think with the ferocity that he came down off those water bars, it's not surprising. So here we go. So results are in. Hipke or Fontaine. I think it's going to be a pretty obvious one here of who goes through to their top 16, and it's going to be Dragos Hipke that goes through to the top 16. Championship still very much alive for him, but he had to do it the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. And like I say, I think he got kind of handed a bit of a gift there, if I'm brutally honest with you, because in that chase position, he didn't look the strongest, and such a shame for Sebastian Fontaine as we get our track repaired. You just see the mess that Sebastian Fontaine's making here this weekend, putting our staff to hard work.
And of course, the track has been repaired over 14,000 times nearly at this stage. As we see a Mexican wave roll around the inside of this arena as it starts to pack up towards that main top 16. As we go under the lights here, where the fireworks and the flames will be going off as these guys are around the track. We're moving along to our next battle. We've got Dean, Juha, Poitalaxo and Hipke into the top 16. No surprises, but how they've got there has been unconventional.
Yeah.
Now we move on to Andreas Vasiliauskas in that BMW E92 warming tyres. He goes up against Axel Mack, yet to claim a victory or a scalp here this year, but looking strong this weekend. It will be Germany versus Lithuania as we head into another epic top 32 battle at the Drift Masters European Championship.
Yeah, I mean, a very, very good battle. We see Andreas Vasiliauskas take that car to the wall yesterday in qualifying and come out of it unscathed. Lost the front bumper, but you know what, rest of the car back together again. A very good team down there. And Axel Mack struggling with engine issues, so for him, you know what, to be in this position, top 32 battling Vasiliauskas, he's going to be over the moon for Mack, but you know what, he would want nothing more than to take a win, and Vasiliauskas there just giving a thumbs up to the camera. He's pumped and ready to go.
He has the highest number you can possibly have in the championship, 999.
999. There
you go, and it will be up against Axel Mack's two very incredible machines here. Axel will be looking for his first victory of the year. He's had massive mechanical issues, as you mentioned. Vasiliauskas in the wall, as you mentioned, in qualifying yesterday. I mean, anything can happen. We've just seen some incredible stuff already in the top 32. I'm getting pumped up because I think we're going to have some unpredictable names getting into that top 16. Even though right now it looks like business as usual, it certainly might not be as obvious as it seems on paper.
No, and especially earlier on when we watched practice, and a lot of these guys were going super hard, and then you go to the pits and some of the biggest names, like I mentioned, were in the pits with cars in absolute ribbons. It's going to be a difficult one, but we await to get the thumbs up from our track marshal. And these guys, thumbs up to each other. Very good sportsmanship from all of our drivers. As they come off the line, it will be Andreas Vasiliauskas to lead out Axel Mack for a spot in the top 16. As Vasiliauskas throws it in, he's down. The bank ever so slightly now, starts to dial on the angle, but Mack very shallow, trying to keep up with the pace of Vasiliauskas' car.
Yeah, Mack is on that inside line. He's not doing a bad job on his line, but he's just not got the pace to stay with Vasiliauskas here as he starts to put foot to floor as they come to the fastest section of the course, this middle section, as he transitions back. Now, this is where drivers have been having trouble with those outside walls. It looks like Vasiliauskas hits that front brake and just settles that car. And while Axel Mack not doing a bad job in the chase, not bringing the fight.
No, I mean, did exactly what the judges were looking for, and that was sticking to that qualifying line. Vasiliauskas, so using all of that 800 horsepower under the bonnet and putting on a bit of a masterclass there. So we're going to get those guys turned around, back on the line. I'm ready to go for the second half of the battle. As you can see, Vasiliauskas' car there, taking on some battle damage this weekend.
Yeah, and he had I mean, it actually looks great right now compared to where it was yesterday evening. We went down to their pit area after we turned
the whole pit paddock, Dave. Yeah. The whole paddock was in ribbons.
You know what, though? I've never seen so much activity in a paddock in my life.
I've never seen so much fiberglass getting repaired with cable ties, duct tape, cordless drills.
It was incredible, and Vasiliauskas' car, I mean, it looks great now compared to it was up and every panel was twisted off that car. But he's back in action now and looking like he's taken maybe a small advantage after the first run, pulling out a bit of a lead on Axel Mack. And from my perspective, Axel Mack is in the lead position. He's got to hope that he's got the pace here, and Vasiliauskas has no answer.
Do you know what, for me, I hope the GT Radial tyre driver has, as they come off the line. Vasiliauskas are going to be hunting down at the back end of that Lexus IS 600 twin turbo as Mack then sends it to the wall. Now this is looking good from Axel Mack, very, very good lead line, and Vasiliauskas doing a good job in chase position. Now Mack needs to get to the wall. Look at this from Vasiliauskas as he dives on angle and starts to push. Look at this on the foot brake, jabbing the foot brake to get nice and close to Axel Mack, giving him some room to transition. Now this is where Vasiliauskas is going to make the dive and get back on the door again.
A little hesitant from Vasiliauskas there, but he's done a lot of the job on that first outer zone 2 as he got very, very close. And you can see he even had he wasn't even playing catch up as he could use the front brake to keep that car controlled. So looks like Vasiliauskas may just have had the pace over Axel Mack in both of those runs, even though Axel not making any major errors.
For me, I think when these guys transition in the centre of the track and they come onto the last, the outer zone, there's a little bit of uncertainty. We've seen a lot of guys make the mistake, go into the wall, the lead car go into the wall and then take the chase car with them. So we need to make this one official. We're going to get the graphic up. Who's going to take it through to a top 16? Will it be Axel Mack or Andreas Vasiliauskas, Kieran Hines, Kevin O'Connell and David Callas. And they make it unanimous. Andreas Vasiliauskas takes the winner, goes through to the top 16. Unfortunately, Axel Mack bows out competition. Pretty much straightforward for you guys from Vasiliauskas' job.
Yeah, very, very strong runs there by Andreas Vasiliauskas. Yeah, on his lead run, very strong lead, really good on the qualifying line. Axel Mack, unfortunately, seemed like he was struggling for pace. He had quite a shallow angle and he was really cutting the track to try and maintain that proximity. When you switch him around then, Axel had a decent line around the track, but he was a little bit slower, and Vasiliauskas really stuck it on his door in places, especially around outer zone 1. So Andreas then winning the lead runs and winning the chase runs as well. So he definitely came away with a strong advantage over the 2 runs.
So there we go.
Yeah, moving on to our next battle, another victim again, and this time it's going to be Kasper Christensen against Pavel Borkowski. But the Kasper Christensen, unfortunately, will not be taking part in this battle simply because damage sustained in practice. So the damage sustained in practice means that he will not compete here. However, the 2-minute clock per regulation will be counting him down. And then it will be an automatic pass to the top 16 per Pavel Borkowski, who is one of those guys we expect to see in the top 16. And I'm looking forward to him just one event this year. We're going to see it because he's had mechanical issues. He's had a lot of runs where it's in the rain. It just hasn't been perfect conditions. But I think we're about to see the best of Pavel Borkowski this weekend as he now makes it into a hugely stacked top 16. Dean versus Poitolaxo and Hipke versus Vasiliauskas. They're just the first 2 battles in our top 16. It's pretty crazy. The level and standard. If you're a drift fan from Europe, you know what it means when those guys stack up. Pavel Borkowski, though, is going to get a free run on the track and a nice chance for us, Ian, to get a good look at what this kid's all about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as you mentioned, unfortunately, Kasper Christensen. I went down there and had a chat with those guys, and Kasper Christensen actually put a rod through the block of that 2JZ E46, and they said unrepairable, obviously, with the time limits they had. And he said, you know what? He said, I'm not downhearted. I'm going to build a brand new engine, more horsepower. I'm going to be back for round 5. He said, and I'm going to be sending it on the door. So that's a very pumped Kasper Christensen. But look at this, Pavel Borkowski there, just putting on an absolute show for everyone here. And like you say, Dave, yet to see the Pavel Borkowski that we've been promised.
Yeah, he's been on plenty of podiums in the past.
I see him earlier practicing with Conor Shanahan, and he was on form.
Yeah, so we'll have to make it official. It is just a formality at this stage, as Kasper Christensen, unfortunately, as you mentioned, terminal engine failure means he will hand the win over to Pavel Borkowski. And while we're stacking up a great top 16, we're not getting a whole lot of battles out on track, as these guys and their machinery take a huge punishment here in Poland.
Yeah, they certainly do, but we need to move it along to the next battle of the day, and that will be a good one for me, in my eyes, because both of these guys, well, I'm a fan of both of them. Next up, Ivo Sarulis to take on Benediktas Čerba. These 2 guys going head-to-head. It will be Latvia to take on Lithuania.
Well, from where I'm sitting right now, both of these guys are very evenly matched.
Yeah.
Both E46s, both running similar high horsepower, both running, in my opinion anyway, a sort of similar line, similar aggression. It's almost like, you know, when you're in a Street Fighter and you can pick the character to go up against yourself. Yeah, that is what, you know what I love about that? It's gonna come down to who the better driver is, because the machinery is similar, the chassis is similar, the experience and the talent. Now it's going to come down to who can hold a nerve.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I watched Benediktas Čerba earlier in practice, and he was absolutely firing that car to the wall. Thumbs up to our camera there. Ivo Sarulis again. He had an issue in practice. Could see his team down there with the back end off the car, repairing some parts and trying to get that car 110%. Ivo Sarulis surprised us in Riga and come out on form. Can he do it again? Well, we're about to find out. It will be Ivo Sarulis to lead out Benediktas Čerba for a spot in top 16. They get the green light and they are off, as it's E46 versus E46 right now. And look at this. Benediktas Čerba knows he needs to be nice and close on the door to force a win as Ivo Sarulis starts to smoke the lineup though. Can Churba keep his cool behind?
Oh,
nice
big dive for
transition.
Churba as he starts to reel in. Sarulis now, as they start to put foot to floor, he made a big dive there, Ian. That was what he needed to do, get himself back in the fight. Look at this transition again from Churba. Big lurch forward into that last corner also as he now stomps on the throttle, but a hesitation has knocked him low on the bank on that corner. Judges will be watching it. Sarulis tags the wall over the finish line. Definitely out there putting it all on the line. Looked like Churba, while moments of brilliance, they were balanced with some errors, some lack of judgment in terms of timing, I think, really letting him down there of getting even closer. But however, he's put a good argument in here on for the second half of the battle. Sarulis definitely not taking a big advantage there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the judges saying they're not wanting to see that lurch, that dive in certain parts of the track. And like you say, he hesitated as he came towards the wall. It's like he was a little bit wary of diving too hard and making contact with the tyres.
You would be with the wall. Course, you would be pretty hesitant myself. I'd be hesitant driving around here in the rental car, never mind in a drift car. But at the same time, at this level, if you want to make it to the top 16 to stack up with the best 16 from Europe this weekend, but so we asked the question of Ivo Sarulis, can he stay with Churba? And a big initiation for Churba, but he hesitates again, and that might have been Churba's problem, leading to Sarulis' problem as he sort of shut down there halfway through the corner as they now run front wheel and bumper along that inner cliff. Sarulis is not sure what the judges are going to think here, so he's got to attack all the same.
Yeah, Sarulis now really trying to put the nail in the coffin, like you say, Dave. Not sure what the judges made of that one as Benedictus Churba fires that car on the wall. Sarulis just falls down though. You know, these chase drivers not getting in that perfect position on the the third outer zone.
No, and I think that's going to be a tale of mistakes for both drivers there. Judges having a quick look at this replay. Monster entry from Churba, but he stalls up. He has to reinitiate, and that is a massive deceleration. Yes, it's a deceleration zone, but they want you to maintain sort of momentum there, not come to a complete stop. I think Sarulis had to back out of that one, and it messed up some of the rest of his run.
Yeah, he like you say, he backed out of that, trying to avoid contact, and he reinitiated, made a good job. But this, for me as well, another big error for Sarulis. You can see here.
Starts high,
stays out the smoke line. If you notice,
he almost says, "I can't see because I'm
so far behind." Yeah,
I'll stay a little bit off the line to be able to ensure that it's safe to get around.
Did he think that the straighten from Churba was enough to force the error? Well, we're about to find out. Oh no, judges wanted to see another replay of the initiation from Churba. So
you can see he definitely reinitiates. You can see the rear wheels lock and then lock again. And that's what I was watching as we came through that first corner. Just looked like he stalled up a little bit. He sort of, actually what he did was he went on too much angle. He thought he could just power through it, and it seems like he couldn't. He had to like handbrake to extend and go again. So let's see what the judges think when the scores drop in. It's another spot in the top 16 up for grabs, and they're having a little discussion on this one to see exactly who's going to go through. Interesting stuff on track. Will it be Latvia? Will it be Lithuania getting the win going through to the top 16? Sarulis or Churba? And both of these guys are big. I mean, you've got the Lithuanian champion, Benedictus Churba, going up against the Baltic champion and Latvian four-time champion, Sarulis. So a lot to play for here. A lot of ego, a lot of achievements these guys have got in their locker, but one is going home and one is taking on Paweł Borkowski. Let's see which way it goes. Left for Churba, right for Sarulis. Who is going to go through? Kieran says Sarulis. He needs one more vote to go through, and it is there. Sarulis gets the win and goes through to our top 16. Throwing it back to you guys. A couple of mistakes on both sides, but you gave it to Ivo Sarulis.
Yeah, definitely we see a few mistakes from both sides. Actually, in the first run there was not so much mistakes, but we saw a decent run from both guys. The main reason of the result was in the run two, when in the first corner the Benedictus Churba slowed down just too much, and Ivo Sarulis have no other choice than straight up. So we did not count that straight up. Actually, we put down the score for that slowing down, and that was the main thing which decided.
There you have it from our judge David Callas explaining exactly what went down. This is an interesting one. One man is the Middle East champion, the other is a youngster from Ireland, and Conor Shannon less than half the age of Ahmed Daham, the current highest ranking driver in the Middle East. However, Ahmed Daham spent all of Thursday night remapping Conor Shanahan's car because it was having issues. So these guys have been good friends behind the scenes, but now they go to war as Daham leads in Shanahan. Daham will definitely have the horsepower advantage here, but Shanahan's not going to let him get away that quick. And look at the dive from Conor Shanahan.
Yeah, Daham fires that Red Bull S15 to the wall. Look at Shanahan though, right on the back bumper of Daham's car as they transition in front of the crowd. Oh, Daham catching the wall barriers as Conor Shanahan, big impact with the wall.
Conor Shanahan, big into the wall.
For Conor Shanahan. And you know what, I was just going to say, Shanahan early in practice looks like he'd found the pace back back in that car. He was absolutely flying, and now Daham looking like the stronger component right now as he finishes off the run and takes it over the line. Connor Shanahan.
Yeah, it's a big hit with the wall
there.
there.
You know what, for me, these guys just cannot catch a break, Dave.
No, it looks like Shannon. I mean, the thing is, there's no 5-minute rules in this competition. So if the judges deem that Connor Shannon,
he snapped a steering arm from what? Sorry, Dave. Yeah, from what I can see. But look at this.
Yeah, he's not going to get a competition time out here unless they feel Daham was at fault. It doesn't look to me like he had any real issues here. Shannon dives in very late, tags the wall, and goes straight into the front bumper. And considering Shannon sitting third in the championship right now, this could be a big deciding factor on whether he's going to be in the fight. You can see the wheel is broken.
Out the wheel.
And if that is the case, Shanahan will have to retire if it is his fault. To me, it seemed that he just dived that little bit too late, left it all to that last ditch and sort of locked up all four, but couldn't slow the car down in time. And big impact with the wall there for the youngster, who's just having a tough time with the last 3 rounds. Having an amazing start to the season in Poland. When he went to Hungary, he had a big incident, not his fault, and he damages the car, knocks him out. Comes to the next round. Riga just doesn't have the legs, it seems, to stay with people, and then he comes here as he's just getting into the flow as he goes along. Connor Shannon unfortunately hits the wall. He waves to the fans there, but a shake of the head. A shake of the head for me says that might be the day over for Connor Shannon.
Well, yeah, and it looks like we are going to get some recovery in to get Connor Shanahan's car removed off the circuit. And you know what? What a shame for Connor Shanahan. Like you say, David, just doesn't look like he can catch a break this season. And oh man, for such a historical moment in European drifting for Connor Shanahan to take the round 1 win. For him to see him like this is just absolutely heartbreaking.
Absolutely, and you can see Connor Shannon there, just hands on his hips, shaking the head. He knows it was probably a driver error, a mistake there from him that just cost him even a chance to compete in the second half of this run. And Daham, who was yet to compete, actually to finish a battle, he's only 2 rounds in. This would be his first ever European win, so not the way he would have wanted it either. So as the results are going to come in, we're going to make it official. That would mean that Connor Shanahan would retire from the competition. And there you have it, official in. Ahmed Daham gets the win and goes through to the top 16. Not the way he would have wanted it, and certainly not the way Connor Shanahan would have wanted it, as he now bows out of the competition. You can see just the frustration. He's so close to being in the championship, so close to being in the contention there, top 3, and I think at the end of this round it might just be a task too far with other competitors jumping up the order. You never know. You never know, but at this stage with 3 rounds left to go, this is where you need to start staying in the fight. Yeah. And Shanahan just not having any luck, as you can see him talking to Brandon Cato from Hoonigan there, who are over for this weekend. And from my perspective, it's not going to be much consolation that kid's going to take for the next hour or so. He's going to watch the rest of the event, but too much damage. You can see it straight away. Huge chunk out of the wheel, suspension damage, no doubt, to the front end of that car. Took a hard hit, not enough that you might not be able to fix it for the next round. It's not that kind of a hit in the end, but had enough that'll knock you out of competition. Daham, though, look at this. He flirts with danger here as he knocks a couple of the water barriers. Doesn't affect Shanahan. Shanahan, on a big dive, watch the front wheels here, locks them also, and just washes really, really fast and wide, and tags the wall heavy and scrapes along. And yeah, that's all she wrote. Looks like the back end taking a little bit of hit as well.
Yeah, looks like it snapped some rear arms as well on that suspension. You can see it towing in massively there, and oh man, just heartbreaking to see Connor Shanahan not having any luck. But you know what? This is the cruel mistress we created, Dave. And
so we're hearing some reports from the pits that there was brake failure on Connor Shanahan's car. When he came through, the front brakes on the car completely failed, and he was expecting to use the front brakes to slow him down on the dive. He had no front brakes whatsoever, and that's what sent him into the wall. So a little bit even more frustrating for Connor Shanahan, because not even his fault. The brakes failing on the car, that's a frightening moment, because he was using the front brake and the handbrake to slow himself into that corner. He said when he pressed the brakes, he went straight to the floor.
Wow.
So there is Connor Shannon looking quite dejected there. And it's important to remember the sacrifice and pressure on these drivers to go out there and perform every single time. And when something like that happens, you've spent all your time working and trying so hard to get into this stage of competition, and something so simple as the brakes just fail at the wrong time or overheat. And I definitely think those machines have been under severe pressure right from the off in practice here, Ian. Interesting stuff already. Yeah,
I mean, listen, to lose Connor Shanahan right now at this point in the competition, like you say, he didn't do very well in qualifying either. It's not the Connor Shanahan we used to see him qualified in 28th position. De Ham obviously qualifying way up the order in 5th, putting in the run of his lifetime there for me, and he was just such a cool guy. You know, you go and see him in the pits after, and he's like, yeah, it was good, but you know, I could have done better. That is some attitude to have as well.
Exactly, and now we will have Pavel Markovsky up against Ivo Cerullas, big matchup. Now we'll have De Ham up against the winner of our next battle, which is a huge one again. It is going to be Yanis Iglite, who's a 4-time Latvian champion, 2-time Baltic champion, and 2nd place in the Drift All-Stars Europe Championship. He's an Eastern European champion going up against Adam Zaleski, the youngster who won the Drift Masters European Championship last year. 2 champions, there can only be 1 winner, and of course we're calling this the Champions League for a very good reason this year. And Zalewski looking to fight himself back up the order, and we haven't seen the best from Iglite so far this year.
No, exactly. 2 very, very equally matched cars. 1 E30 BMW, 1 E46 BMW, both 800 horsepower, 1 2JZ, 1 V8 turbo. This could go either way for me as Conor Shanahan makes his way off circuit, just giving a little wave to the fans here in Motoarena Torún. We haven't seen the best of Yanis Iglite. Like you say, Zalewski narrowly missing out on a podium at the final, at the last round.
Well, we were saying Zalewski was pretty unstoppable in Riga, other than he broke a toe arm on transition and had to bow out, had to retire from the 3rd and 4th place battle. So he's hungry again. He's the current reigning champion of the Drift Masters Championship. Iglite, he's had his name all over Europe for the last 5 years. This is a heavyweight encounter, and both of these guys are looking for that big victory to go through. But again, in previous years, your top 32 battle, top 16, you might meet the best of the best till you get to top 8 or top 4. Right now, from the off, 2 of the biggest names in European drifting are about to go head-to-head in a custom-built circuit in a stadium in Poland. That is the reality, and we're about to watch it go down.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm very excited for this one as we wait to make sure the track is 110% ready to go for this one, and it does look like we are ready to go. We're just waiting to get the thumbs up from our drivers and our start line marshal.
Yeah, start line marshal. Oh, you can see our friends from the Budman crew are going out just to adjust that wall and line it back up. You can see that's exactly where Conor Shanahan having an impact there. Yeah, having an impact with the wall, and from my perspective, well, I mean, one thing for sure, and not the start, I mean, okay, we're not seeing clean driving here right now. What we are seeing, which I'm really impressed with, is guys surviving, but also the drama and the excitement. I mean, you cannot take your eyes off this one, Ian.
You certainly can't. And you know what, Dave? I'm going to hand in to you're going to hand into Ryan Sage. Oh, Dave Egan's going to hand into Ryan Sage. I'm just going to have a quick word with him and see how he. His take on our top 32 so far, seeing quite a lot of action, a lot of thrills, a lot of spills, and Ryan Sage.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Ryan Sage just trying to find his seat. Some good action, a lot of thrills, a lot of spills. How do you make top 32 so far?
Well, you know, the drama with regards to James Dean was kind of like a movie script. Down to 50 seconds, the gate slides open, here comes the green machine, and he makes it out. And it looked like they got the car back, maybe not to 100%, but pretty dang close. And so I think with Conor going out and how that was starting to coalesce, or rather, it wasn't coalescing around somebody in the championship just yet, but going on the top 32 with 5 rounds, it's hard to really get yourself back into it. So I think that gives James a little bit of an advantage moving forward, depending on how far in competition he goes. But as expected, the top 32, even on the left side of the bracket, not even halfway done yet, has given us some really exciting battles. Obviously, a lot of guys that are pushing hard in front of this really awesome crowd that's here. And now as the sun is starting to go down, the track is going to change. We're going to get into the top 16. It's just going to keep getting amazing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, to see some of these guys in our top 16 as well, some very big names in the championship, like you say, Conor Shanahan bowing out this early in the competition, James Dean moving on, and Bartosz Stalowski sitting in 4th place, him dropping out of competition. So that kind of gives Conor Shanahan a little bit of breathing space. But you know what, Grzegorz Hipki, through to the top 16, he's got to go through a very on-form Andreas Vasiliauskas in that E92 BMW. I mean, the championship at the top end for me, James Dean and Hipke, kind of trying to walk away with it now. Yeah. But from there down, like you say, it's starting to open up a little bit, and a little bit of uncertainty of who could jump into that 3rd place.
Well, I thought, and I also thought your piece, you know, down in the paddock is emblematic of what this track has really presented for drivers. Not only those that are competing for the championship, but those that are competing for country pride and to do well in front of this capacity crowd. out is just that the vehicle attrition, what's needed with not only your driver's skill, but the ability of your team to get your car back on course. We saw a number of buys, and obviously that gives those drivers an easy pass into the top 16. And it's going to make it so that drivers moving forward into the latter rounds of competition are really going to be short on time. If they do have any incidents that they're not able to get out of in competition, they're going to have to work on it while they've got downtime.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It's such a, like I say, it's like a family affair down there. It's like every team kind of gets together to get those cars together. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's all about not only the driver, not only the machine, but the people behind the scenes pushing that driver forward and then helping them, especially on a circuit like this that doesn't hold any prisoners. You know, we see just a light rub on those tyres and it's over. And Conor Shanahan proving that, you know, losing his brake pedal, taking it to the wall, and no 5-minute rules here in the Drift Masters European Championship. How do you take that? Well, for you, I mean, you guys obviously have the 5-minute rule back in FD. We scrapped it here, made life really hard for these guys.
I think it's really interesting. I think it works. You know, I mean, especially if the driver that would have used the competition timeout is clearly at fault. You know, I mean, there are the chances, you know, that you see a zero from the other driver. That happens from time to time in our series, and that does give, you know, a certain kind of chance to that driver. There's always that theoretical possibility that that other guy is going to get, you know, a zero. But, you know, 9 times out of 10, I think that's usually what the end result is. So I could totally see why you guys have adopted that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think from our side, it was more about let's build a reliable machine that could go to war the whole way through from top 32 to the final. And you know, I think some of these guys have really pulled it out of the bag and have turned up some amazing equipment and some amazing teams, like you say, behind the scenes. So we're looking forward to it, and we're ready to move it on for our next battle on the line. It will be Adam Zaleski to take on Yannis Inglite. And you know what, the 2017 Drift Masters European Championship reigning champion Adam Zaleski doing very, very well at the previous round in Riga, narrowly missing out on a podium, finished up in 4th place. Like you say, now has to take on Yannis Inglite, who's very much on form, Dave.
It's a big battle, and from my perspective, this is important for both of these guys, not only their ability, but also their rankings in the European system, because these guys will know exactly what they're up against as they come off the line. Zalewski to lead him in. You can see absolutely firing through the gears into that first corner. Zalewski's got some pace here. Inglite get caught a little bit there. He's going to try and cut that corner to stay with him, and it's going to be Zalewski transitioning through, and look at Inglite trying to find a gap at a moment to get on the door, and this is the moment. He's got to try and catch him here, and he does. Onto the rear quarter, no left foot braking from Inglite as he tries to catch the youngster through the center section, and look at the speed Zalewski scarring into that last corner. A little bit brave there, but a very solid run and showing experience beyond his years as he goes across the line. Inglite, a little bit caught for pace there, and he would have been surprised.
Yeah, you know what, for me, Yannis Inglite, like you say, lost for pace. Adam Zaleski came off that line like a scolded cat, through the gears, through that car in. Not short of horsepower, 800 horsepower underneath the bonnet of that BMW E30, and then Zestino tyres doing exactly what he needed to do, putting the grip in the right places.
And do you know what else he has as a little advantage? All his home fans sitting in those seats around, cheering on Adam Zalewski, the Polish flag flying proud on the back end of that car. And as we were in Latvia 2 weeks ago, it was all Yannis Inglite fans, but right now he's on the other side of it, as I'm sure Zalewski, the youngster, a lot of people in Poland saying he's the next big thing in European drifting. Remember the name? Well, he's just proved it there, going out there and putting in a storm of a run. Now he's got the opportunity to chase down Inglite, and he's climbed himself back up this championship order. Zalewski, he had a terrible first round. He had 8 half shafts break, put him out of competition. Now he's back in the hunt, and Inglite's got to be fast, fluid, and perfect here to even stand a chance. He'll know he's at a disadvantage. He cannot make any mistakes in the lead position, and Zalewski's going to come off the line here saying, I'm going to put this on the door. I'm going to take this to the top 16. Who's next? That's the kind of confidence this kid has. He's got to get it done here, and anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen, and we await to get the thumbs up from our guys, just waiting to get the all clear. And yeah, and you know what, for me, I mean, Inglite's spotter is going to be on the radio saying to him, dude, he absolutely drove away from that one. You could see him in the distance. You need to really settle yourself inside the car and make it a very grippy drive. So, you know what, for me, we had, Zalewski had issues at the previous round, Dave.
Well, I'm just hearing some word from our marshals in my headset that Zalewski now is reporting overheating in his car. So in between each, we don't have any 5-minute rules here, as you were discussing with Ryan. What we do have is a 2-minute clock. So between each run, they have 2 minutes, and also at the start of the run, they've got 2 minutes just to get to that line. And Zalewski's saying, can I just use a couple of more seconds to get the temperatures back to normal in the car, showing that that machine under pressure as well.
Yeah, exactly. So they come off the line. It will be Yanis Inglite to lead out Adam Zaleski. Can Zalewski's car hold together? Can Inglite put in the lead run of a lifetime? Well, he's down on the bank. He's not nice and high like the judges like to see. He's opened the door for Zaleski now. Zaleski transitions in front of the crowd. Inglite rubbing the front bumper of the E46 BMW along the wall. Now starts to balance that car. Look at the shallow angle though from Zaleski, trying to keep up, trying to stay out of that smoke line. He starts to fall back ever so slightly. Can he make a dive on the door on the final outer zone? As Inglite sticks it nice and high on the bank, but he drops down low now and brings it over the line. Zalewski may be doing enough there.
Yeah, well, it looked to me like Inglite not having the perfect lead line, not right out to those outer zones like the judges expected him to be. And what makes it very difficult for the chase car is if the lead car is not on the highest line, or we'll call it the highest line, but the perfect outside line, his smoke screen then comes back on the chase car, who's always going to be tucked a little bit inside. And that means that Zalewski couldn't see a whole lot for a lot of that run. So a brave run, as you can see here, look, not on the perfect line, a lot of smoke coming back towards Zalewski. He's caught in that smoke line. You got to transition at full throttle in the middle of this track without seeing a whole lot. So the car in front of you sort of reappears almost right on that wall. So it's a brave track for drivers, and Zalewski doing a good job there. Has he done enough? Well, we might have been looking at it from one way. The judges, of course, are looking at it from a Criterion base, and with some deliberation going on, they might have spotted something we haven't. You can see the Polish flags now waving in the grandstand as this crowd starts to build up to capacity. And you know what I mean? They're here for the top 16. That's the main event. But we're just seeing floods of people start to come into this stadium, and it's starting to make a huge amount of noise, a lot of atmosphere, and the way the car noises echo around this stadium. You know what? I think this is going to be a special night.
Yeah, you know what? I've got, like I said yesterday, I've got those feelings that we had at round one where we created history. And I can see that unfolding now with some big names already making their way to top 16. Judges deliberating this one, some scores getting written down. Who is going to take it through to the top 16? Will it be the former and current 2017 Drift Masters European Championship Adam Zalewski, or will it be Yanis Inglite? Could we see another overturn in the championship and someone else falling down the ranks?
I'm expecting a lot of big shocks tonight, but right now the judges have locked in their scores, so it means we do have a decision on this one. It is for a spot in the top 16, and what a top 16 it's shaping up to be. But will Yanis Inglite or Adam Zalewski be joining those already in there? Let's see which way the judges go. We have got one vote from David for a one more time. Kevin O'Connell and Kieran Hines yet to drop their scores. Kevin goes for Adam Zalewski, and Kieran Hines will have the deciding vote in this one. And Adam Zalewski gets the win and goes through to our top 16. Split decision from the judges. We're going to throw it back to you guys. Talk us through it. Some great driving there.
Yeah, quite a close battle overall, but if you break it down and you look at both lead runs, then Adam's lead run was far superior. He was really deep in all the clipping points like we'd like to see, and really fluid and aggressive. Unfortunately, Inglite didn't really take any advantage of that, and didn't have much proximity except in a couple of places, and he wasn't on the qualifying line while chasing. You switch him around then, Inglite, I really didn't like his lead run. He wasn't deep into the outer zones, and he made it then very, very difficult for Adam to chase. However, Adam did close in the door in places, especially at outer zone 2 and outer zone 3 as well. He really reeled Inglite in towards the end, so that was enough for him to take advantage over the chase runs as well. And overall, Adam comes away with advantage in the win.
So there you go, Dave. Adam Zalewski taking it through, and we move it on to the next one. This one's going to be hot. It's going to be Jack Shanahan, the current and reigning Irish Drift Champion.
Going up against the man straight off the podium at round 3 in Riga here at the Drift Masters European Championship, Krzysztof Romanowski. You can see his name in signs all over this stadium. Huge fan base for the Drift Warriors here this weekend in Torún. Well, Jack Shanahan mightn't have the crowd on his side, but what he does have is momentum after coming off an incredible qualifying session. He will lead him out, and Romanowski, who's had some run-ins with the wall all weekend, will now try and chase him into that E30 V8. Look at this, Shanahan right to the exterior of the track. Romanowski going very wide, brushing the rear end of that car. They are coming to get it here in this battle for sure. Romanowski makes a massive dive onto Shanahan. Onto his door he goes, and this is the aggression we expected to see here in Torún. As Romanowski touches wheels with Shanahan as they come through the center section and makes another massive dive. Shanahan, no rear end left on that car as he runs into the rear of that outer clipping zone, and look at that chase run from Romanowski. That is what we came to see here this weekend, Ian.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable as this stadium erupts, and the crowd are on their feet for the local man, Krzysztof Romanowski. Unbelievable stuff, Dave. Unbelievable. Jack Shanahan, though, for me, in my eyes, as amazing as Romanovski's chase was, Jack Shanahan's lead was just perfect. He didn't put a foot wrong, qualifying in second place, and that is why. He gave Romanovski the opportunity to get on the door and follow a perfect line. And
well, what you've got there is a phenomenal lead run and a phenomenal chase.
Yeah.
Romanovski made some big moves there, very risky, diving through sort of a blind cloud of smoke to put it back on the door of Jack Shanahan. And from my perspective, Ian, that is exactly what he needed to do to stay in this fight. He knows Shanahan's a good chase driver. He's now given him every question and said, well, that's what I can do. What can you do? And I think Romanovski's going to go out there. This could be very tight. I think this is going to come down to the slightest of errors. And as the tension builds in the stadium, the start line marshal is ready to send these two warriors into that first corner. Will it be Ireland? Will it be Poland? Remember, they're 1 point away from each other in the current Nations Cup as Romanovski leads in Shanahan. Shanahan not letting him get away here.
Yeah, look at this. Jack Shanahan right on the door, but Romanovski not nice and high. He starts to find it as he catches the barriers now. Shanahan on the door of Romanovski as they transition. Jack Shanahan almost taking the bumper off his car in numerous positions now. Romanovski gets nice and high on the back. Shanahan starts to dial in. Can he get on the door like Romanovski was? He starts to lose a little bit of ground, but Shanahan giving him the room to manoeuvre as he makes a big dive coming into the final out zone. Shanahan on the door, loses a little bit of ground from the Polishman as they bring it across the line. Shanahan and Romanovski putting on a show.
What a run from both of these guys. Romanovski doing a good job showing the pace in that E30 with that LSX V8. Had Shanahan, while he had moments of proximity, just couldn't keep it consistent as he sort of stop-gapped up a couple of times to let Romanovski make some moves. I don't know, Romanovski's lead line, was it as good as Shanahan's? That's the question the judges will be asking. And then the other question they'll be asking is the proximity, where Shanahan looked like he didn't have the same proximity as Romanovski, but it's going to be a tale of lead versus lead, chase versus chase, as it is always. And from my perspective, just right now, I wouldn't be liking to make a call on that one.
No, exactly. And you know what, you're exactly right. I was just going to say, Romanovski's lead, for me, few errors. He initiated, he dropped down the bank, he made his way back up, he just caught a hold of the tyre wall.
Well, it looks like we've got a decision. We've got a decision in. It's going to slide him left for Krzysztof Romanovski, right for Jack Shanahan. Kieran says one more time. Kevin says one more time. We're going to send these boys one more time again. No separating Romanovski and Shanahan. All three judges unanimous. Back to you guys. These guys cannot be separated.
It was really awesome battle. This is what we really want to see. If we compare lead to lead, chase to chase, Jack had slightly better the lead run, but Romanovski had slightly better chase one. So we want to see it one more time to see more differences in those two battles.
So there we go, judges not being able to split the decision. While those guys go back and get their cars prepped, we're going to move it along to the next battle of the day, which will be Jakub Puszczonski to take on Tobiasz Puszczan. Both of these guys pushing very, very hard. Jakub Puszczonski, the man with a stacked to the brim trophy cabinet, Dakar rally champion.
Well, now also regarded as the highest ranked rally driver in Poland and also an ex-Polish champion. He goes up against a man trying to prove himself here, Tobiasz Puszczan. Will he prove the difference maker in this battle as he chases in Puszczonski into that first corner? Puszczonski's up to gone here. Yeah, look at that, Puszczan staying on the right qualifying line of the chase, but he's just not bringing the fight right now.
No, not bringing the fight at all, but like you say, Dave, Jakub Puszczonski.
Oh, what a big error from Puszczan as he pushes too hard, spins into the concrete barrier. I don't think he's done major damage there. You can see he's driving out of that concrete wall. There is definitely bodywork damage to the rear end of the car, but no such worries for Puszczonski, who literally just shrugged his shoulders and said, sorry dude, I'm going to leave you there and finish this run off. And Puszczonski looking extra strong as usual as Puszczan saved himself there. I think he knew he was going to go straight into the wall. He spun the car on purpose, let the rear end, which is a softer part of the car with plenty of fiberglass to bend away, he go into the wall. And right now I think he's almost able to go right back to the start line here. He has no option to call any 5-minute rule, or no option but to go back and try and finish out this battle. But I think he's going to go into this one with a huge disadvantage and a 10-0. It looked like it was an unforced driver error. Ian didn't have anything to do with Puszczonski there. Puszczonski now is in a position where he knows he can play a little bit easy here. As long as he gets around this course, he's going to be in top 16, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you say, an unforced error there from Tobiasz Puszczan. Looked like he went to make the dive onto the wall and just couldn't carry it out and, you know, lost grip. He's still pumped though, thumbs up and fist pumps to the camera as we await to get these guys up and off and ready to go. For the second half of this top 32 battle, we're getting through these thick and fast now. Our start line marshal just going to be just going to remove remove some more. Take some more of it.
This is a weight-saving technique.
Just
to lose half the car in the back end. And I'm surprised that car, it just sort of folded in and popped back out again, and it already had a couple of hits with the wall. So it looks like Pushan is ready to go back at it again. Our startline marshal is making sure everything is secure on the car before he does. He'll be in the lead position. Pashkonsky will be in the chase. We haven't seen the best of Pashkonsky this year. We've only seen him at round 1 in Poissy. With other commitments he has in other motorsports, hard for him to commit to a full season. But when he is here, he's always on form.
Yeah, he's a very, very on-form driver, a very good guy to have in the championship. And that car always presented so well. As they go off the line, it will be Tobias Pushan now to lead out Jakub Pashkonsky. As Pashkonsky, though, still bringing the fight, Dave, almost tagging what's left of the back end of Pushan's E30 at BMW. The Polish driver, though, putting it all on the line, smoking out this arena. And Pashkonsky getting a little bit left there for dead, as Pashkonsky now starts to find some lost ground and dives on the door of the BMW V8 Turbo. Pashkonsky and Tobias Pushan transition into the final outer zone, and Pashkonsky now finds the door of Tobias's car.
Yeah, very close across the line. It doesn't need to be that close across the line. And you know what, just maybe showing the rest of the grid that even though I've got this in the bag, this is what I'm capable of when we move on to top 16. Car still, of all the cars here, very much in one piece. No real major issues on that GT86. So I think that's going to be a formality for our judges to put through. And left for Tobias Pushan, right for Jakub Pashkonsky. I think we know which way this one's going to go. Both these drivers are going to head back for their results. Pushan and Pashkonsky will finish up their battle with, I think, one that we can even call in, you know, and there it is. Jakub Pashkonsky going through to the top 16. No surprises there, as very, very simply he goes through.
So as we get those guys off track, we get ready to move on to the next battle of the day, and it will be Paweł Korpolinski to take on Michael Reichardt.
Oh, now, you know what?
This is a very evenly matched battle.
Well, if on paper you're going to say Korpolinski, the championship is doing pretty good right now, so he's the man to beat. I was talking about him earlier today, saying I wasn't very familiar with him or his style. He's a Swedish champion, but he's Polish. It doesn't make sense to me, but at the same time, when I see him out on track, I go, he's very consistent, got the car, very consistent and very precise. He always does what the judges want. Now, the real X factor in this battle is Michael Reichardt, because Michael Reichardt has the potential to beat anybody if he's in the right zone and the right frame of mind. He also has the potential to crash into the wall. So he's 100% at all times. So what you're going to get here is one or the other. You're going to get Michael Reichardt not playing it safe, that's for sure. You're not going to get a guy that's going out there to sort of half-ass it and say, you know what, I'm just going to give it a go. He's going to go out there 110%. Whether it works, or it doesn't, it doesn't. I think Korpolinski's the more steady, not conservative exactly, but more precise, sort of in-control driver. But the X factor sometimes of Michael Reichardt can win out in the end. So I'm looking forward to see which way this one plays out.
Yeah, this is going to be a very good one. This one's going to, I think, push very, very hard. Like you say, Korpolinski for me, in my books, has the upper hand. Very good driver at the previous round in Riga. And I think he's going to be feeling confident. Very good qualifying session for both these guys.
Yep. Looking at the lights, orange and green means go, as Korpolinski will lead in Reichardt into that first corner. Reichardt not letting the Polish driver trying to get, and a little bit of a burst of pace from Korpolinski into that first corner. Reichardt taking the bottom line here, taking the slower sort of line through the course, try and catch up, and he's caught in that smoke screen now. It's going to be tough to see where to go. He's still in the fight, though, as they come to that outer zone 2. Reichardt and Korpolinski running that outside concrete wall, and now Reichardt starts to make the move. There's one last dive before they finish into that last outer zone 3, and you can see Reichardt and Korpolinski on all 4 brake lock up in there, and Reichardt in the fight as they come across the line. Did a good job getting back into that one, Ian.
Yeah, very, very good job there. For me, Korpolinski had the upper hand of the first half of the battle. It wasn't until the transition in the centre of the track that Michael Reichardt started to find his feet and, you know, rely on Paweł Korpolinski. Like I said, Korpolinski qualifying in 7th place, Michael Reichardt qualifying way down the order in 26th. So, you know what, Korpolinski could be on the ropes.
I'm expecting some unpredictable stuff to happen. I mean, none of these battles are over till they're over. With every corner comes equal opportunity for someone to make a mistake. And with that, Ian, means that until both cars are across the finish line, you can't predict these either way.
No, and look at this, Korpolinski now having to take down cool-down laps. So are these machines now starting to feel a little bit of the stress? They've gone through 2 very, very hard days of of work, if you will. You know, qualifying sessions, and today they had an insane amount of practice, too much practice, in fact.
Yeah, and the thing is, they've now got to a level of so much practice that they're feeling comfortable.
So comfortable,
They're so confident, but at the same time, well, for me anyway, they are sort of, those machines are coming towards their last legs. Will they survive the whole top 16, top 32? That's the question when they've been put under so much stress. There's not a lot of movement of wind in here. Just to give you an example, the flags that are obviously representing all 21 nations here that are on display, not moving either way.
No.
So there's no wind, there's no opportunity for air to get through the cars. That's causing a lot of cars to get very hot very soon. So it's going to play a factor as things move along. And it looks like Michael Reichardt is ready to go. So is Korpelinski. They both beat the clock. A little bit of a cool down lap, and now it's starting to heat things up again as they go into that first corner full throttle. Can Reichardt this time now pull a gap on Korpelinski? That'll be the, look at this, he's already coming off as fast as he can.
Yeah, Reichardt knows that Korpelinski's the higher qualified driver, but for me, Reichardt, strange initiation, dropped down on the bank. Now Korpelinski stays away from Reichardt, giving him some room to manoeuvre as Reichardt fires that car into that second front clipping point. Now Reichardt gets up on the wall, but Korpelinski still not really finding that proximity. A little bit tentative from Korpelinski. Now, can he make the dive onto the door as Reichardt fires that car into that final out zone way down on the bank as Korpelinski, very shallow angle and no fight in Korpelinski whatsoever.
Yeah, a little scrappy from both drivers. They're not hitting all of those inner and outer zones like the judges are expected to do. And you know what, for me, Ian, I think that may prove the difference here, is that the judges are now going to start analysing something that's not as obvious to us, which is their qualifying line. Korpelinski, as you mentioned, right on the inside of that corner, not where he should be. And neither was Reichardt. He was off that outer zone also. So a tentative sort of run from both drivers. And we didn't really get to see Korpelinski bring the fight either. So, you know what, for both of these runs, it's going to be very difficult to see which way it goes. But we have a decision from our judges. Slide him left from Michael Reichardt. Slide him right from Pavel Korpelinski, who's going through to the top 16. Kieran says Korpelinski. Kevin says Korpelinski, David says Korpelinski. It's unanimous. Pavel Korpelinski goes through to our top 16 and another charge in the championship for Korpelinski. Back to you guys. Talk us through it. A couple of errors on both sides there.
Yeah, Paul had a great lead run. A really good lead run. So and Michael in the chase position, he had no proximity really. He was off out of zone 1. He did a dive there, and he had a big cut as well in out zone 2. Got a bit of proximity near the end, but again by cutting the track. So Paul came away with a very strong advantage in the first one.
So it does look like we've lost our head judge there, Kieran.
Sorry, I'm back again. Sorry, I'm back again. Yeah, so anyway, Miguel had a small advantage in the second one because of the separation, but he was on a poor lead line. So over the two runs, Paul took the advantage.
So there you go, Dave.
This is the one we've been looking forward to.
And so are the crowd.
Yeah, because we have a whole fan club for David Karkošek, a whole section.
It's the VIP section, right
just behind us. We have a lot of David Karkošek fans. And Tor Arne Kavia, well, he's brought an army with him from Norway, so this is going to be a very interesting battle. The lights are on for Tor Arne Kavia, but is anybody home as they head into this first run? Karkošek, the higher qualifier representing Poland, he will lead him in that bright pink S15. This is going to be a war. Yeah,
this is going to be a war indeed, Dave, as they come into that first initiation zone. And Kavia throws it on the door. Look at Kavia, no regard whatsoever. He wants to win straight away. He knows that Karkošek is a local hero, but he wants to take him down. The man, oh, and Karkošek takes it to the wall. Karkošek takes it to the wall. A huge impact.
Yeah, Karkošek goes hard into the wall. And I think
you know what? I think the car had an issue. He's had issues all weekend, and that was very uncharacteristic of Karkošek. We watched him in practice. Watch this.
I think not only does he go into the wall, but Kavia puts him into the wall again. He hits him again as they come through. Watch this. As they come through, Karkošek, it looks like the car shuts down. Look, no power whatsoever. A little bit of power, and then maybe it's just a tag, hits it, and Kavia just tags the rear end of his car and gets out of jail free there. Karkošek waves to the fans, smiles all around, but unfortunately I think that's going to be another big cleanup.
I mean, there's a tyre, Dave, down the side of Karkošek's car, and it's not on the wheel. So I'm going to say that's an issue for Karkošek right there.
Yeah, I think that might.
Look at him smiling though. Listen, you know the most heartbreaking thing for me is this car turns up every single round, looking immaculate. We always say it's the most best prepared car on the grid, and then look what he does to it, Dave.
if you want to become a self-made millionaire, become a body shop that works with David Karkošik.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made there.
Sell David Karkošik tail lights and headlights for S15s.
Yeah, look at the damage sustained there.
Look
the
at
wheel
the
pushed right back, the wheel broken, wall moved. That was a big impact. Karkošik, look at that, no wheels on the car. You can see a kick from
a kick in the air from
Torún.
He's out of the car though. He's
coming straight back to say his condolences to David Karkošik. And as you can see, the embrace on track, not the way Kvia wanted it, but it looks like it will be the Norwegian driver moving through to our top 16.
So yeah, we're going to try and get David Karkošik's car removed off the wall. As you can see, Torún Kvia. I mean, listen, this is a big thing for Torún Kvia. He hasn't had a whole lot of success from his third-place podium at round 1, which was in Poland, which was in a circuit. So does Torún Kvia now feel some confidence coming back in himself again to try and move forward, especially now as we've lost some big contenders in the championship this early on?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the way Kvia would want it. And watch this again as Karkošik just tags the rear end way too deep, and then it is just too deep. I think it maybe pulls the tire off, and then he just slams into that wall. And the fact that Kvia bounces off the rear end of his car, and then afterwards the tail light just went and out of the car. But you can see there from this will be a great angle for it. Watch Kvia. I think he does make contact right just as they come through. A bang hits the back of Karkošik's car. Insult to injury there from Kvia to Karkošik, but a big impact and one we didn't want to see.
No, exactly, not what we wanted to see for Karkošik, especially his fans here. He's brought a lot of friends and family. We're on a little VIP area down here, and those guys are going to be absolutely heartbroken.
And that is a beautiful car, pretty destroyed, and not what we want to see.
It's absolutely wrecked, and yeah, I mean, look at the state of that, no tyre on there, and you can see the front wheel barely holding on as the Werfhaus Budmat team try and get that car removed off track the quickest way possible.
I think they're having a look at the structural integrity of the front of that car to see if it's okay to hold the weight that's about to be asked of it. And right now, it looks like Karkošik's car has taken a huge impact. And we expected him to be right up in the mix there this weekend. We've been watching his driving since round 1. He's come off multiple podiums here in Poland, multiple podiums at the Drift Masters European Championship. But this year, it just seems to be a tale of mechanical failures and large impacts. So you can see that they're not trusting that front wheel to lift the car. They are going to lift it with the chassis and strut tower on that car. This is the bit where we say, we go back, Marty McFly, Back to the Future 2, as the car lifts off the ground and heads onto that Budmat truck and off the circuit. There's going to be a little bit of cleanup on this as well.
Yeah, we're going to have to get the wall repaired. But it looks like most of the damage on the wall has already been put back in place. Obviously, once we get the S15 of David Karkošik's car out of the way, they'll get the rest of that wall put back in place, and we can carry on with action here in our top 32 of round 4 of the Drift Masters European Championship here in Torún.
Well, you can't say, Ian, it's not exciting. You can't say you can take your eyes off it. You can't.
It's not been predictable.
Absolutely not. It's been one of the most unpredictable starts of any event I've ever watched, and we just don't know who's going to survive. So the action continues here as another car pulled off the circuit with irreparable damage. Sad days for David Karkošik. So David Karkošik removed from the circuit, as you can see, being removed and back onto the back of that trailer. A car absolutely wrecked. And again, we talk about the danger of this circuit, Ian. We talk about how dangerous this circuit has been. It's been the story of the season. These guys have been through the wars, and not only are they here right now competing at this level on a very dangerous track, but just 2 weeks ago in an amazing Riga in Latvia, we saw some of the most dangerous driving we've ever seen in the Drift Masters European Championship. While we wait for the track to get clear, let's remind ourselves of the journey so far. Let's go 2 weeks back to Riga, Latvia.
Riga. The Drift Masters European Championship touched down in the beautiful Latvian city for the most dangerous and highly anticipated event of the tour. This track takes no prisoners and only rewards the brave. Drivers knew there was no point in showing up if they weren't prepared to throw down. Before the on-track competition began, locals were treated to a sight that few could comprehend: the street parade.
We're in the middle of freaking Riga. Police shut the whole place down for like a bunch of 60, 70 crazy 1,000 horsepower drift cars. Come on now, how much better can it get? And the weather is good as well, so it's Riga, baby.
You have to stay focused, and commitment definitely will win the race. This track really requires high concentration and a lot of commitment, and then I would say balls.
Welcome to Latvia and welcome to Riga and welcome to the most hardcore drift event of the year. After an insane start to the season in Płock in Poland and then a very unpredictable event in Hungary, the Drift Masters European Championship is ready to once again stake its claim that has become the Champions League of European drifting.
Almost on cue, unpredictable weather conditions would make the circuit even more challenging and treacherous. The best in the business would have to prove their ability and adaptability once again. It was time to hit and hope at over 90 miles an hour.
And he is right there with Sebastian Fontin, not an inch between the cars. Oh, big impact.
Romanovski's sketchy transition.
Torrential weather out there.
Gregor Zimke as he fires that car.
Shannon's right with him, he's like a dog with a bone.
But even torrential downpours couldn't stop the knife-edge action, as each driver threw caution to the wind.
Romanovski now starts to get on it. Hipke absolutely flying. They fire it in door on door into the first turn, and Adam Zaleski starts to give Bartosz Zaleski something to think about.
Current Formula Drift champion James Dean would have to go through Krzysztof Romanowski in order to make the final. It was go time for Poland and Ireland.
Now looks to transition. James Dean. Oh, wow!
How did it not make contact?
James Dean defying all the limits. Romanowski now stands on the accelerator, starts to hunt down the 2017 champ. Zaleski on that perfect lead line, and look at Romanowski looking to hunt down the door. Can he? Oh, wow! Adam Zaleski absolutely putting caution to the wind.
Oh, and he hops over his car. Contact!
Krzysztof Romanowski would beat defending champion Adam Zaleski for a third step on the podium, leaving us with one final battle remaining. Gregor Hipke, the winner in Hungary, had championship point leader James Dean firmly in his sights. With so much anticipation resting on this event, the final would have to be something truly special. It certainly didn't disappoint.
He doesn't seem to have the pace for James Dean.
Look at that guy! Out of nowhere!
He just comes out of nowhere.
Hippie out of nowhere!
James Dean pushes big on Hippie.
After 3 grueling rounds of action, record attendances and unrivaled online viewership, the Drift Masters European Championship is certainly cementing its initial claims as the Champions League of European drifting. As we head to round 4, we ask one question to every drift fan worldwide. Can you really miss what happens next?
Well, what happened next is a lot of guys crashing into walls in a custom-built stadium in Torún in Poland. It's been the most difficult event I've ever watched for carnage, for crashes. It shows the level and commitment that these guys have got. A lot of guys say, why send these guys out to crash their cars? They make that choice. Yeah. They want to be here at the top level. You come to events like this not expecting to just wave to the fans and get your adoration. You've got to put something on the line, and everybody in that grid understands that. They're saying it's the best of the best. We want to be the best in the world. We want everyone to talk about us. Speaking about talking about it, we want everybody across the world to get involved with this one, and this is how you do it at home. If you're watching live on Facebook right now, we wanted to get bottom of the screen. You'll see the share button. Hit that share button, write a post, say check out Drift Masters in Poland right now. Everybody who's watching on, we really appreciate it. Let us know what country you're coming from. Hit the like, hit the share. Let us know exactly what you guys are all about and who you're supporting on the grid. We got 21 nations competing this weekend, and it's exciting to see as they go. We know now that we will not see the same podium as the last round, guaranteed, as Dean and Hipke sit on the same corner of the bracket, and Romanowski's still in the fight, but will he be for long as he now goes back into a one more time battle with Jack Shanahan? They couldn't be separated on the first one. That means that generally when we go into the second battle, things get even more hot and heavy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like these guys have filled each other out. It's like having a round of boxing. You know exactly what these guys are going to do. You know their moves. You know exactly their line. And for me now, and you have a bit more confidence.
Yeah, we've had such a close battle.
Yes.
How much closer can they get? Romanowski's coming off a win. Third place podium at the last round. His fans are in the stands. Shanahan, though, hasn't been able to get any traction this year. This is the closest he's got to getting a real fight at the podium. He's not going to give that up easily. It's going to be the Irish champion going up against one of the prides of Poland, as he has got his full section of fans waving his name in the grandstands. Shanahan to lead in Romanowski as they come through the gears. Another nice initiation from Jack Shanahan. Romanowski, though, comes in very hot, and does he push Shanahan wide? Shanahan tags the wall but stays in it. Romanowski contact on the first corner as these guys put a total caution to the wind, and Romanowski goes back to the wall. Oh, both drivers in the wall, Shanahan in the wall and Romanowski in the wall. Wow, can we get through a battle here without these guys actually surviving? Shanahan survives.
Look at Shanahan's rear wheel. Sorry, Dave, jump in.
So this means Shanahan goes in the wall. Romanowski
big error from Romanowski on the initiation, straight off the bat though. You see him hitting that foot brake. He almost made contact with Shanahan. Big transition. Now, what happens here? Does Shanahan get into it too deep first? He does. He dips the wheel. They kind of hit it at the same time. So it's...
Yeah, a lot of damage done again to the track. Romanowski's definitely hit that wall dead on hard. Again, same exact place that he did the damage this morning, in the exact same position, got that car fixed. Now the question here is, did Shanahan tag and go, and did Romanowski go in behind him?
You can see
that
Jack
would be
Shanahan
the question here.
Running the wall there and taking the whole back end of his car off, or what's left of it. Now, as they transition into this, who gets into the wall first? Is it Shanahan or is it Romanowski?
No, Shanahan's going in anyway. Romanowski's diving, and watch here.
But Romanowski's like falling.
They both hit it. They both hit the wall at the same time.
Romanowski made the dive.
Look, but Shanahan stays going.
Yes.
So Shanahan stays going. Clearly, Romanowski cannot stay going. It looked to me like both guys went in too hot. Both hit the wall. And will this come down to just who survived, which would be Jack Shanahan? I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this. Two guys in the wall, two guys wrecking the rear ends, but Romanowski coming off definitely the worst of the incident. And I have never seen so much carnage within a top 32 in my entire life. Look at this, from the off, both guys making contact. Shanahan loses the rear end of the car. Now watch this, it looks like at the almost exact same time, both guys hit that wall. Romanowski dived, bang, they both hit it. But Romanowski catches the piece of wall that Shanahan had moved, and that's what stopped him. Can you believe that? So Shanahan moves the wall with the rear end of his car, making sort of an edge. and Romanowski hits that
and look
edge.
at that, Shanahan completely split the rim. You can see he's completely taken the outside lip off the wheel, and it literally leaves him with just a tyre.
And right now, Shanahan's thinking, well, he's in the wall, I'm in the wall. Which way is it going to go? The Romanowski fans are like, our guy's definitely in the wall.
There's two ways to look at it now. The biggest problem is Romanowski's car split the oil cooler. You can see his car leaking fluids. Now, if judges would deem that Jack Shanahan was offline.
Well, see, I don't think you can say he's offline if he's on the wall. So, I mean, he's definitely made an error. Watch as they come through. He's made an error. Look, watch. Shanahan
he drops his wheel into the
Shanahan
little groove.
hits here. Romanowski hits here. Both at the same time. Now, watch Romanowski catch that little bit of wall that Shanahan's hitting. And then all of a sudden, boom. He has a big impact there, Ian. There's no joke there. That's a dead stop. And Shanahan stays going on one rim. I'm going to watch this from the other angle. Watch Shanahan as he comes towards the wall. He's going into the wall just around here. Romanowski goes into the wall just around here. Shanahan sort of steers forward to get out of it. Romanowski tries to steer out of it as well. Oh, does he hit Shanahan and go into the wall?
He hit Shanahan, yeah.
Oh, I would not like to be a judge on this one because we have two cars that are unable to compete in the second half of this battle. That's a fact. Shanahan has no tyre on the rim and Romanowski is in the wall. So which way do you call it? I mean, you go to the rule book, the judge is frantically trying to decipher this one, but look, both guys, it actually looks like it didn't hit Shanahan, he just hit the edge of the wall. Wow, I've never seen anything quite like that before. We said this event would bring up moments and situations that you've never seen before. That's exactly what you're seeing right now. These are, 30, 40, 50,000 euro drift cars going head to head into these walls. And watch the stop of Romanowski's car. He lifts a wheel, that's what stops him from steering out of it, and then just hits an edge. Look, bang.
It just tags the back end of Shanahan's car, but there's nothing really there on the back of Jack's car. If you took a look around it or seen it in photos, you'll know it's all fiberglass with just a small bit of tube work. So no damage caused there. And
I don't think I've ever quite seen an instance quite like this.
Is Romanowski in the wrong place? Has he made the dive and tried to get on the door at the wrong time? Is Romanowski at fault, knowing that he's not going to make that dive at that position? Is he carrying too much speed into that? This is what judges are going to be talking about, or is Jack Shanahan? I mean, Jack Shanahan's very, very wide. It is a miscalculation from Jack Shanahan of how fast he is travelling. But you can see it drops a wheel.
You know what, it's that moment, instead of dropping a wheel, there's a small gap between the wall and the surface of the track. So there's a high bank, then there's a little groove, and then there's the wall. Both of those drivers get into that groove. Once they get into that groove, it lifts the front left wheel off the ground, and they have no steering. So watch Jack drops in, watch the front wheel of both cars lift up, and he can steer back out of it as it comes down. Romanowski can't. His wheel is still in the air, and that allows him to go straight into the wall like that. Dead stop. I mean, this is going to come down to Criterion.
Do you know what? I'd love to know what the judges are thinking right now. I'd love to know what's going on in those minds.
Yeah, we're speculating.
We're speculating, yes. I'd love to get their opinion on what is happening. But they are talking about it, and they do have to come to some sort of a decision because I'm not sure if Romanowski's car will be able to make it back out.
Well, it's not. That's the fact. But the
problem
question
is if he gets... So how does it work now, Dave? If he gets the win, can he continue into competition?
The question here is who's at fault, and I think that's what the judges are going to deem. I would imagine Shanahan's at fault and Romanowski's at fault. The way I'm looking at it is they both hit the wall, and one drives away and one doesn't. But even Jack Shanahan would not have been able to start a second half of this battle, but he could line up. I don't know. I mean, again, the rule book's going to be out here at this stage. They're going to try and figure this one out. I'm sure we're going to get a great explanation on it, but from where I'm sitting, it is just one of those moments where you can't really pick fault on one driver because they both make the same error. They both go too wild. They both drop off.
In a split second, look at that.
And they both end up in the same position. And Romanowski, sort of following Shanahan's lead there, might have just got a... it's like when they had those red flags to a bull. You just whip it away at the last moment. Romanowski goes into the wall. Shanahan's certainly pushing as hard as he possibly can around the track. Romanowski not letting the Irishman get away one bit. As you can see, they're both washing very, very wide here. And you have to question the surface then after big impacts like Karkoshik had.
Look at the wall. Look.
Is there some fluid there? Look at the wall. And that is, that takes a forklift to lift each one of those. So that's a big impact. So Shanahan has half a wheel. He gets out of the car. We're not quite sure exactly what happened with him. it's certainly exciting. That's the one thing I'm going to say for certain, is that it's getting exciting, because we have a lot of carnage on track. And it looks like Shanahan has broken a work wheel there on the back of his car. He's awaiting the decision. He's not quite sure which way it's going to go. And of course, we're commentating to you guys live online. The current broadcasting team here in the stadium is Polish, so he's not going to know which way it's going either. No. So the only way these drivers are going to know is when those graphics come up on screen, just like you guys see at home, which way it's going to slide. And Shanahan, look at that, just absolutely nothing left in the back end of his car. Looks like a car, but underneath not much to write home about.
Yes, a bit of
and then you can see the croquet stick. You see it?
Oh,
it's broken. He broke the croquet. See the green bit? That's the bit
you can see it hanging out by the wheel.
Yeah, that is the bit that he replaced on the back of the car. It's a croquet stick.
There it is. Look.
There it is. Yeah, croquet stick there.
I mean, that's yeah. Look, Jack Shanahan.
He's pointing out that he has got a croquet stick on the back end of his car. That is incredible. And he is saying that I went down to a sports shop. It was the only thing I could see that actually kept my car together. Some sports items used, and he's broken them again.
And look, yeah, look, he completely split the outside lip off that wheel, DB'd in the tyre. And yeah, unbelievable scenes here at round 4. And yeah, listen, I keep saying we're going to make history, Dave. That is certainly what we do.
Well, I've seen things this year, Ian, I never thought I'd see in the sport. And I think that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it unpredictable. That's what makes this championship so unique, is that you don't know these drivers' styles. And many times you don't know these circuits. A lot of times we're coming here for the first time. You guys are watching this for the first time. And anything can happen. And right now, we've had some of the biggest names in the sport in the wall. We've had Conor Shanahan in the wall. And then his brother comes out and goes straight in the wall. We've had Romanovsky in the wall. Karkoshik in the wall.
James Dean in the wall.
James Dean in the wall. We've had Fonten in the wall and almost pull off a victory.
Let's get rid of the wall. I don't like the wall anymore.
Do you know what? It's definitely separating the men from the boys.
Definitely.
And I think from where we're sitting, as I said before, there's two sides to this track. There's one with a tyre barrier, which you know, if you take a slight touch, you go in, but you don't make too much damage. There's another side, when you hit it, it does make a lot of damage. You saw that from Romanovsky's car. I am very interested to see exactly which way the judges are going to go here now as the wall gets repaired, not only for the first time, probably for the 60th time today. The judges watching one more time. Watch Shanahan here as he goes too wide. Romanovsky also going too wide. Shanahan tags, and they hit that groove in between the wall and the surface. Watch Shanahan's front wheel lift up the minute he hits. Then Romanovsky's wheel goes up, but Shanahan drops down and can steer out of it. Romanovsky cannot steer out of it. Stays with one wheel in the air, and then bang, into the wall he goes. A very abrupt stop, causing a lot of damage to the front end. And not only that, in that exact place, in the exact same way, he hit that wall this morning, first thing, exactly the same. So twice today, Romanovsky goes into that wall, and he's going to be, I suppose,
not friends of walls anymore.
No, and also his team are going to be like, you know what, man? Like, you went out there this morning. Okay, you get one, and then
you don't get two.
We go to top 32, and you get another one. I think that's all she wrote for this weekend. And of course, we go to Hockenheim in 3 weeks. These cars all got to be brand new, ready to go. And there's going to be a lot of repair work in the next 3 weeks, for sure, for all of these drivers. I'm very just concerned about how much survival there is on this track. Is it going to be the guy that just survives at the end that wins, or is it going to be the guy that can actually survive and put in those correct runs? We've seen some massive scores in qualifying, 80s and 90s, but when we put these two guys together, I think what's becoming a big difference here is they're changing their approach and their speed to each corner as they go along, because simply they have to with another driver in front of them. So maybe Romanovsky coming in faster than he was comfortable with.
Yeah.
And also Jack Shanahan, who put in, you know, a 92 qualifying run, never made contact like that with the wall all day, and all of a sudden, when it matters in top 32, he gets away just about with that car.
Like you say, the pace thing, Jack Shanahan, like you say, he qualified in 2nd position. Romanovsky qualified way down the order in 31st. And for me, yeah, that is a big factor. I watched Jack Shanahan in practice earlier, and he was, you know, one of the fastest guys around this circuit. So for Romanovsky to come in and try and chase him down, very, very difficult for Romanovsky to do. And like you say, just 3 weeks' time, the 8th of September, we switch it up again, Dave, and we go to a Formula 1 circuit at the Hockenheim Ring in Germany, where we send these guys absolutely full tilt in 5th gear around that track.
Yeah, over 100 miles an hour. We'll be recording on entry in Hockenheim, and then we head to Mondello Park for the final, 23rd of September. A double header with the final of the Irish Drift Championship and Drift Masters Championship taking place in Ireland and Dublin. And of course, we'll be partying hard at the end of the season in my hometown of Dublin. But look at Shanahan's car. Half the wheel just flew off the car as they came around that corner. complete carnage on circuit here. And you know what? A lot of people watch online, a lot of people watch this sport, and they get very numb to the skill involved, they get very numb to the cost and the repair cost. They watch it. I mean, a lot of people who watch it through a live stream broadcast or a digital broadcast will say you're totally detached from it here. Take what speed you think you're watching this at, up it by about visually about 30, 40 miles an hour. That's what we're watching here in the stadium. Always looks a lot slower when you're watching it on camera. Of course, if a Formula 1 car passes you at 200 miles an hour, it doesn't look like that on TV, right? So these are guys who are really brave out there. They're pushing the cars to the absolute limits, and you know, you're seeing champions here make big errors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are not just regular guys. Like you say, these guys are the Champions League of the rest of the world, and yeah, I mean, getting them guys to be pushed to their absolute limits and cause this damage to their own cars is, yeah, craziness right now. So we could just see Jack Shanahan sitting down there.
Well, one man that I'd like to get an opinion for on this is Ryan Sage, because I don't think even Ryan Sage has seen stuff like this happen before.
Here we are. Okay. Yeah, that was really interesting, and I think you're right. It's going to come down to how you guys interpret this in the rule book. I mean, just a couple things that I was noting here is there's probably a couple different ways you could go about this. I think the general consensus is that it looks like independent incidents. Yeah. That's what it kind of looks like. And if that's the case, you have Romanowski with the 0. Shanahan couldn't finish the run. That's a 0. So where does that leave us, right? That's the question that needs to be answered. You could maybe make the case that because Shanahan is the lead driver, he was dictating the pace, and maybe you could put fault on the lead driver there. I don't think that's the way they're going to go. I think it does look like it was 2 independent incidents. But you're in a really tough predicament here because you have both cars are inoperable. One is way more damaged than the other one, and there's really no good decision that can be made that is intuitive.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're in a situation now where it's like, where do we go from here? Both guys didn't finish the run, like we say, and Jack Shanahan's car come out of it fairly unscathed, the lesser damaged car, but it does look like we do have a decision on just the first half of the run. So this is going to be very interesting, Ryan. We're going to bring the graphic up on the screen. Obviously, neither guy being able to finish the run. Who is going to take the win and go through to the top 16? Well, we're going to find out. Is it going to be Romanowski? Is it going to be Shanahan? And judges' decision comes in. Kieran, Kevin and David unanimously decide that Christoph Romanowski take the win. And now we head to our judges to find out, Ryan, exactly how that went down. Judges, we've never seen that before. I don't know if we're going to see it again. Tell us exactly your thoughts and how you come to that decision.
With great difficulty. Look, what we do know that Jack was going off. He tagged that wall first. He's definitely at fault for tagging the wall. The question is, the chase driver, you know, is he going off at the same time? It looks like that at the start. He actually tags the wall. It looks like maybe they're both going in. The only thing I would say is the chase driver is always going to, his job is to mirror the lead car, so he's going to follow the lead driver's line. And in this case, Jack's line is actually taking him into the wall. So, you know, it's very easy to turn around and say, look, he should be able to deal with the line of the lead car. But if you're that close, it's not easy. I think he was kind of led into the wall a little bit. Very difficult call. You know, luckily we've plenty of time to make it because they're putting the wall back together. But awkward call. We think that that Jack's line actually led Romanowski into the wall behind him.
So there we go, Ryan, and yeah, Jack Shanahan being caused at fault, and you know, exactly like you say, Shanahan dictating that pace, and Jack Shanahan dictating the line. So Jack Shanahan causing the fault there.
Yeah, I mean, that was option 1A, right? You know, that could have gone that direction. I was trying to think about, like, if it happened at our events, what would our judges do? And I could totally see the justification for that. You know, another option may have been, I don't know if they're able to do this, but you know, could it, if you said it was independent incidents, could you have gone one more time, and then it would have been who could have made it back to the line, something like that. But I do think that there is adequate justification for that. The lead driver does have a responsibility, so you know, it's a crazy sport.
Yeah, it's a very, very crazy sport indeed. And now Christoph Romanowski has the hard task of getting that car back together again. Oh no, he's bowed out of competition. So that is it for Christoph Romanowski. He does get the win and he does claim those points. Unfortunately, that is him out of competition for the day. So not a good end to his weekend at all. So yeah, Krzysztof Romanowski, as Dave Egan jumps back in the hot seat. He gets the win. Unfortunately, so is the car. Is the car unable to be fixed?
Okay, I've made that call because I've had a look at that car when it was being taken away on the truck. There is extreme chassis damage there. I would say at this point in time, there's 95% chance that we will not see Krzysztof Romanowski back out. I'll tell you why. He hit the wall the exact same way this morning. That car was very, very thrown together to get back out for that battle at all. And what happened was you go in there and you've had that damage. Now you make the exact same impact again. That area of the car is already completely weakened. I think it's going to be a big task for him. Impossible task, maybe, because from my perspective, he's had 2 hits in the same area, the same wall, in the same place. As you mentioned, Judge is under pressure there because, yes, I can see your point. You're pacing yourself off the lead car. And the important thing to remember here is that if you're a chase car, you're basically mirroring the lead car. That's essentially the idea of drifting. So he's mirroring Jack's pace there. Jack has gone in too fast. So Romanowski, and I was speaking with the judges and the guys there on the criteria, Romanowski's trying to match his pace. Now, they both make the mistake of going too fast, but again, if you look at both, Romanowski in many ways is following Jack Shannon into that corner. Yeah. Jack was to make that corner and Romanowski goes in the wall, we have no question. Because, of course, the lead driver is dictating the line. Irregardless, Jack does go into the wall straight and make a big error. And, in fact, is almost unable to complete the rest of the run because his rim is completely gone. So then you could say it's independent, as Ryan was saying. Then who would get back to the line? In that case, it would be Shanahan, which would be unfair, I think. So the right call probably being made there as Romanowski goes through. And again, he now, I think, probably won't compete. So he moves on in the bracket, and if I can see it here myself, it will be him moving forward into the next stage of competition. But that would give Jakub Pszczonski a free bye to the top 8 if he's unable to come back to the grid. So Jakub Pszczonski has Puszczan in the wall, goes through, then he uses the wall again as Romanowski goes into the wall. And if you look at Jakub Pszczonski's car, not one mark on it all weekend. So maybe that might be the winning factor here. Maybe the factor is that you don't make a mistake, that you don't hit the wall. Maybe being just a little bit more cautious here might actually pay dividends, but very difficult to tell the best drivers in Europe to be cautious, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, and to tell them not to throw it on an immovable concrete wall, or a slightly movable concrete wall, to wow the judges and wow the crowds here in attendance.
One thing that's definitely movable is the concrete wall, because as far as we're concerned, every time they're hitting it so hard. I mean, it takes a full crane and truck, as you can see behind us, to lift those walls, and they're pushing 3 or 4 of them out of the way. That's a big impact they're having, and those guys from the Budmat team are having a long day. I think that have built an entire highway in the time it would take to keep preparing this track. They put enough tarmac down. Now they're putting in all the landscaping around it all weekend. It's a tough job, and of course we're just going through the top 32 now before we break for top 16, and that top 16 is going to be very, very interesting. James Dean, as we mentioned, creeping through, not the most consistent of performances from him, having trouble with his ECU in the car. He goes up against Juha Poitalakso. Jim Olofsson goes into the wall hard in that particular battle. Hipke, again, not particularly confident. It looked like Sebastian Fonten was going to take him down. Fonten then makes big errors in the chase position, and Hipke goes through. Next up, we've got Andreas Vasiliauskas against Axel Mack, just a little bit. He looks fast out there, Vasiliauskas. He outpaced Axel Mack, not in terms of outskilled, but just outpaced. Then we got Pavel Barkowski. He didn't get a battle as Kasper Christiansen puts a terminal engine failure to a list of long problems he's had this season. Ivo Cirulis beats Cherba in a good head-to-head there with some contact as well. Connor Shanahan, Jack Shanahan's brother, we just saw there, he goes straight into the wall with brake failure.
Same place, but
he had brake failure. So Daham goes through, Ahmed Daham from Jordan goes through, and Adam Zaleski outpaces Iglite over the 2 runs just about. That was a close one. You come to Jack Shanahan, we just saw there. Shanahan goes in the wall, Romanowski goes in the wall. Romanowski deemed not at fault as Shanahan led him in there. Then we move on to Jakub Pszczonski. He doesn't get to the finish of his run because Puszczan's in the wall. And then we've got Korpelinski being Reichardt, and Karkoshik goes in the wall as Kavia hits him back into the wall and then goes through. We haven't had one battle in this top 32 that is straightforward.
No.
I've never seen anything quite like that before.
It's complete madness, and you know what? And we've still got 4 more battles to go, and
you're nervous if you're in those 4 battles, because right now you're saying, how hard do I go? How much do I push? Because as far as I'm concerned, I mean, is there a way to approach this track that's safe? No. Is there a way? You can't win if you're safe, and you can't go in the wall and win. So it's such a fine line. I mean, talk about a game of chess at over 60 miles an hour in a car that's like worth a mortgage, right? And it's going to be a very interesting night as the lights come down here in Torún. Sun sets, the lights come on in the stadium for top 16. The pyro will be on, that'll throw it up a little bit. All of the dry ice guns or the cannons will be out. The cheerleaders will be out, the stunt bikes will be out. We've got motocross jumping going on. It's a real show here in Poland. It's the showpiece event of the year in the Motoarena in Torún in Poland. And right now the championship for me looks business as usual, but it is anything but in that top 16. The one thing that's big to note is Dean and Hipke could meet in the grade 8, which would mean that they are not going to meet anywhere near the business end of things. Dean gets the win there and Hipke gets the win. If Dean can get over on Hipke there, I think he's going to push a big lead in the championship. But if there's ever a time to take down James Dean, it looks like he's having the toughest day he's ever had today. Car shutting down in practice, Ahmed Daham hitting him into the wall. They've had suspension damage, and now they're having engine problems with that car or ECU problems with that car. So again, anything but straightforward.
Exactly, anything but straightforward at all. And we move it along to our next battle, who are in the tunnel, and we're waiting for those guys to just come out and warm up their tyres, and it will be Pavel Trella to take on Matt Carter. You can just see those guys out on circuit. Pavel Trella last night, when I had a chat with him, qualified third out of our drivers, and he decided that last night was the optimum time to change the turbo on his car, just to gain a few more horsepower, where Matt Carter was just maintaining his car. Matt Carter was been struggling with his car all season, had endless amount of issues. Yesterday, if you catch that guy on social media, if you follow his social media closely, you see that he broke the crank pulley. The crank pulley split in half, and he lost all drive on the water pump, the alternator, the power steering pump, meaning that that guy had to then change the crank pulley to get out for his second qualifying run. He got it all done. He qualified 30th, way down in the order, so not looking too strong is Matt Carter. But in practice earlier, Matt Carter was the man on a mission. Yeah,
he goes up against Pavel Trella, who's in front of a home audience. He's the ex-Polish champion, one of the biggest names in the sport here in that crazy Opel GT. He's not going to be an easy task for any driver, especially Matt Carter, but I think he's looking very comfortable out on this circuit. He's done this a couple of times. So let's see what happens as they roll it on into this incredible battle, and the drama just keeps unfolding. I'm looking forward to this one. We continue our charge towards the top 16. We're still in top 32 action here as Pride of Poland, Pavel Trella, goes up against the Pride of the UK, Matt Carter. As we mentioned, a crazy little Opel GT, 860 horsepower. This car weighing, I think, almost sub 1,000 kilograms, goes up against a conventional chassis, if you want to put it for drifting, of a Toyota Supra 2J running 700 horsepower, Matt Carter's car. This is a very interesting one. Two guys looking to change their fortunes this year after some mechanical issues and qualifying issues. Trella will lead out Carter into this incredibly dangerous circuit here in Torún. Will they survive is the question we all ask.
Yeah, that is the question we all ask, Dave, as Trella throws it to the wall. Now Carter looking to hunt down at the door of that little Opel GT as they transition. Carter almost making contact now. Matt Carter hunting down a top 16 this weekend. Look at this, Carter right on the door as Trella takes it nice and close to the wall. Matt Carter almost making contact now as they come through the centre of the circuit. Big dive from Carter now as that little Opel GT finds its way back to the wall one more time as Matt Carter pushes very hard and pushes both the cars across the line.
Yeah, very interesting. That's the Matt Carter we've been expecting to see, call himself the hashtag door hunter, and right there we're seeing exactly why as he puts a very good chase run in against a very unconventional car. Him, Pavel Trella, you can see Matt Carter immediately taking that 2-minute countdown clock to go cool his car down. He's had nothing but mechanical issues. Trella, though, talk about that lead run, absolutely perfect, showing exactly why he qualified in 3rd position. He looks super comfortable out there, and now he's in the place he likes to be most, the chase position.
Yeah, exactly. He loves to chase, and that little car is very nice and short. It gets nice and close up on the door. It allows him to get into the clipping zones as well, which is what the judges wanted to see. They wanted to see the chase car on the door, but within a close enough proximity that they're still following that lead line and still collecting those clipping points, which a few points on the circuit Matt Carter failed to do, but we've still got one more run in this top 32 battle to go, and it will be now Pavel Trella to chase down the 2017 reigning British Drift champion Matt Carter in that Jap Speed Maxxis tyres and Nissan Skyline R32. You see the anti-lagger Carter's car firing off as he tries to get away. Water on the ground from Carter's car. Is it suffering issues, Dave, as they fire it in on the door?
Well, he's not going to care about that now. He's going to wring the neck. But look at this, Trella making a massive dive but wobbling in the chase position. They're sparking off the inside of each other, and Trella knocking water barriers and diving very dangerously onto Carter's door. This is what we're came to see. Guys putting it all on the line as they come through. Look at Trella absolutely attacking Matt Carter through that last section, and now he's got the pace to dive on the inside of the corner, put it on the door. This is an incredible battle here in the top 32 as the UK and Poland come across the line and show exactly what this championship is all about. Never say die and put it on the line.
Well, what a battle, Dave, as those guys make their way around to our finish line. You can see Matt Carter putting the windscreen wiper on there. That car definitely losing water. We could see a puddle off the start line, so not the healthiest looking car, but that chase run from Pavel Trela was just insane.
I was thinking that, you know, that Carter had the job done, but Trela just upped the level there in the chase position. Did he dive a little bit through the corners, cutting the corners? Judges will be watching out for that one. But we have a judging decision in quickly, meaning they are decisive. Who's going to win it, Matt Carter or Pavel Trela? Going through to the top 16, our judges, Kieran goes Trela, Kevin goes Trela. It's a unanimous. Pavel Trela, the local hero, goes through to the top 16, and that little 860 horsepower Opel GT will be making an appearance in our top 16. Quickly back to the judges, guys. That is more like it.
Okay, so in the first run we saw a small mistake from Trela, small angle on outer zone 2, and we saw also a few small mistakes like wobbling from Matt Carter. He was offline to get some proximity, and he was in good proximity on outer zone 2 and outer zone 3. Then in second run, Trela showed us really perfect proximity against Carter. Carter was braking in few places where he should not, and that's why Trela is going through.
So one Polish driver overcomes the UK driver, and here we go again, as it is Nigel Colfer from Ireland going up against Pavel Gross from Poland. Ireland versus Poland again, it seems to be the theme of this top 32. Well, we've got Romanowski going through. Dean has got one, so it's 1-1 for the Irish versus Polish so far in this top 32. Now, it will be Nigel Colfer to go up against the might of Pavel Gross, the driver we've been picking all weekend as one of the most consistent out there. This is going to be a heavyweight battle, as they throw it in.
Yeah, they throw it in nice as Nigel Colfer leads out being the higher qualifier, and Pavel Gross, a very shallow angle, starts to dial it on now though as he cuts the circuit ever so slightly to gain proximity on the door of that Acorn Insurance S13. As look at this from Pavel Gross, he finds the door though and gets on it. Colfer on a strange line there, almost cuts the circuit to shut the door on Pavel Gross. Now finds that car into this final outer zone as Colfer way down the bank doesn't find that high line, and Pavel Gross gives him some room, doesn't want to get caught up in that smoke line.
Yeah, well, I'll put it this way. From my perspective, Colfer was fast, he was fluid, but he fell apart a little bit towards the end. That last outer zone 3, he was very low on the bank, pushing Pavel Gross lower on the bank also. But, you know, both guys make it around. Some great moments of proximity for Pavel Gross. Cuts the track a little bit here and there, but, I mean, I think these guys really want it. That's very evident from the way they're driving. No one's holding anything back at this stage. I think they're all willing to risk the car at this stage. You heard it in the interviews you guys have had with them, and I've had with them during the weekend. They say if you're coming here and you think that minding your car or looking after your car is a priority, just go home, pack the trailer, because if you're here in the Drift Masters European Championship, it's not about that. It's about throwing down. It's about being the very best. Even if it's just on this day, it's something to say that one day you were the very best driver in Europe, and it's not a lot of people in the world that can say that. So here we go, as we switch them around, it'll be Pavel Gross to lead in Nigel Colfer. And look at that jump from Gross as he comes off the line. Impressive stuff, but Colfer now hunting him down.
Yeah, Colfer now needs to really get on the door and unsettle the calmness of Pavel Gross. A little wobble there from Colfer as he's now transitions into the second front zone. Pavel Gross almost taking out the wall barriers as Colfer now makes the dive and starts to find the side of that Drift Patriot BMW 30. They come down into the centre of the circuit. Left foot braking there from Pavel Gross as he slows in a full throttle zone. But a big mistake there from Colfer as he throws it on the door but has to back out of it. And an uncertain.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which way that one's going to go. You can see Colfer getting moments of proximity there, but then backing away at times and just sort of jumping in, but then having to apply the brake and losing ground again. Watch this from the start. Gross stays nice and high on that outer zone. Colfer's, you know, nothing really wrong from both drivers here. Colfer now realizes he's got to start making up the ground. Sort of very little angle from Colfer as he comes through the inner zone. But Gross there staying away from that outer wall. I wouldn't blame him after what I've watched the last half an hour. And then look at this, Colfer starts to dive in. But as they transition back, Gross and Colfer makes a dive here, a big one, and then has to back out. Watch this. He comes in and goes on too much angle and sort of has to reinitiate almost through that last zone on outer zone 3. But while he had the proximity, it might be looked at as a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. So our judge is just requesting a side-by-side replay, trying to get that one lined up for us. So we could just take a look at the lead to lead and chase to chase. And from these guys, you see Pavel Gross just over there giving a handshake to Nigel Golfer. Nigel Golfer, for me, his future in this top 32 hangs in the balance. And
you know what? Two very equal competitors there, and I think two guys, a local guy that has competed on this level before. He's got a very, very capable machine, twin turbo V8 under the bonnet of that E30, and Nigel Colfer, a guy that adapted quickly to the track all weekend. But look at us side by side here to see exactly what's happened. And I think proximity then is obviously what they're looking at here throughout both runs. It looks like Gross has more proximity just around as they come through here. Colfer makes a late dive to that section. As you can see, Colfer now starting to move towards that last section. And yeah, from my perspective, well, very hard to know exactly what's going on right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very, very difficult to find out what's going on. And yeah, I mean, we're just going to take another look at that as soon as we can get it queued back up again for you guys at home. The judges wanting to, you know, I think it's going to be who made the lesser mistakes in that one. And for me, I mean, Colfer, that dive into that final outer zone was a big error. So, not sure what way the judges are going to go with this one, to be honest with you. I mean, the proximity from Grosh kind of had it for me in the first run.
Yeah, he looked good, and then the speed from Colfer. So let's see which way it's going to go. Slide him left for Pavel Grosh, slide him right for Nigel Colfer. And Kieran says one more time. Kevin says we're going one more time.
What do I know, Dave? What do I know?
Well, very little by the looks of it. And you know what, I could have told you that before the battle. But at this moment in time, what I will tell you is we're going to see those guys go at it one more time, which means we got to go to our judges, guys. No separating those drivers.
No, two runs there that had flashes of brilliance, but definitely had a good few mistakes. On Colfer's lead run, he had quite a good line, but Powell, on the other hand, he had a flash of proximity finishing outer zone 2 where he really got on Colfer's door, but for the rest of the run then he was quite shallow on offline. So for that run, Colfer definitely came away with a very slight advantage. You switch him around then, and up until the final corner, Colfer had done enough to gain enough of an advantage to take it, but then unfortunately just coming out of the touch and go zone, Colfer has a bit of a stall up and has a slight shallow of angle, and that's enough then to overturn that advantage to Powell. So both drivers coming away with a slight advantage over each run, so we had to see him go one more time.
There you have it. We're going to come back to that later on, Ian, as we now move on to our next battle. Eli Hutunji goes up against Mevlud Maladidze, and it says 550 horsepower on his stats there, but he actually only has 280 horsepower. That's what I'm hearing.
Where's the rest come?
The rest he left in the airport in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
But he has got a standard 4.4 V8 BMW engine under the bonnet of this car, and he now goes up a car with not a standard BMW engine. He goes up against an LSX crate motor of the Red Bull Drift brother, Eli Hutunji. It will be Germany versus Georgia in the top 32, and Hutunji now coming through the gears. Will Maladidze have enough pace? And look at this as he dives into that first corner. It's a newcomer to the championship, and he's been impressing us, but losing a little bit of ground now.
Yeah, you know what, for me it looks like he has to carry the momentum to get on the door, and he's doing a very, very good job. Like you say, the Red Bull Drift brother Eli Hutunji running LSX under the bonnet, and look at that, banging some flames as Hutunji fires into the outer zone. Mevlud though getting into it, but just as that proximity as he starts to make a dive across the line. Eli Hutunji looking the stronger competitor.
He looks very comfortable there, Eli Hutunji. I'll tell you what, he's got the pace, that's obvious. He's got the horsepower and grip, that's obvious. But it's about how clean the back end of his car is right now is what I'm looking at, because that car has not been repaired this entire round.
Don't curse him.
I'm not saying he's not going to have to. I'm just saying if you look at a guy that has a perfectly clean car.
The team have had an easy weekend.
Yeah, I'm just saying if he's got a clean car, that means he's looking very comfortable out there, and he's also qualified very high. Mevlud there, he gets some proximity here and there, but he's cutting the track hugely to do it. And the judges saying they don't want to see guys diving across the inside. They want to keep on that outside qualifying line. So he's going to be marked down a little bit. But now he goes into the lead position. We'll see what he's all about there. As Eli Hutunji now in the chase position is going to have to start thinking about this very unknown competitor beside him. He hasn't really practiced with him. He hasn't seen his style. He hasn't had time to check out what he's all about. I'm thinking if I'm Eli Hutunji, it's a difficult call. Do I go close? Do I go on the door? Do I hold back? I would say the clever move here is to go on the door, to not leave it in the hands of a mistake or on the slight advantage from the first run.
Yeah, exactly. Not an easy decision to make, and like you say, an unknown driver in the championship. This is his first round this year, and I mean, what does he do? What does Eli Hutanji do? Does he get on the door, try and force the win? If he does force the win, he could potentially face his brother in top 16, Joe Hutanji. As we could just see our start line marshal, they're just trying to remove the rear bumper of Mevlud's car as it's come detached ever so slightly.
Yeah, make sure all these competitors are 100% ready to go, of course. Body panels flating around is obviously going to be a disadvantage, and the start line marshal making sure that car is A-OK to continue and A-OK to run. From my perspective, though, this is an unusual one. I mean, Eli Hutanji, for me, I picked him out in practice. I said, this guy is looking strong for a podium this weekend. He's been on the wall for 2 days straight and not really hitting it at all, which is a great way of approaching it. Is to go close but not hit it.
Yeah, exactly, and this is the highest we've seen him qualify. He qualified in 6th place. He's doing very well in the championship so far. So yeah, I mean, this could be the weekend for Eli Hutanji and the Red Bull Drift Brothers, the Falcon Tyres BMW E30, to take a hold of the championship and really start to shake it up a little bit.
Absolutely, and of course, a lot of Polish drivers still in the championship race right now and in the competition today, which I'm loving. But here's a really interesting battle between Georgia and Germany. Very often, not very often we see these guys go up against each other in drift competition, but it will be Mevlud in the lead position and Eli Hutanji in the chase. Hutanji should have the pace here to stay with him. Can he get the job done? But Mevlud looking super strong to the edge of the track. What a lead run this is, Ian.
This is unbelievable from Mevlud, the unknown entity right now in the championship, puts in an absolute screamer of a lead run so far. But Eli Hutanji, though, not far behind as he almost over-rotates. Mevlud fires it to the wall, and look at Hutanji right on the back wheel as they almost make contact now. They transition down to the centre of the track. Mevlud giving Hutanji the most perfect opportunity to chase as he fires it into the third outer zone, sorry, and they get wheel on wheel and bring it over the line. Wow, Mevlud
incredible. And this guy
it down.
has been such an addition this weekend. I'm sure Georgia are very proud of this guy and everything he's achieved. I think, you know, if it comes down to a judging decision, the only thing I can see is that no proximity from Mevlud, just maybe outpaced a little by Eli Hutanji when Hutanji was leading. He had a big gap on Mevlud, and Mevlud hadn't cut track. Eli Hutanji, great proximity, but not cutting the track, staying with him. So I think that might be a blow to Mevlud's claim to winning this battle, but let's see which way the judges go. Incredible stuff, though, to see two very different BMWs from two different parts of Europe go head-to-head and having a lot of fun out there on track in front of this local Polish audience.
So it does look like we do have a decision as the graphic drops up on our screen. Who's going to take it through to the top 16? Will it be Mevlud on the left or Eli Hutanji on the right? And Kieran, Kevin and David make it unanimous. Eli Hutanji gets the win and goes through. Judges, very, very nice clean battle there for you guys.
Yeah, an easy one. Elias, really good lead run in the first battle, and Mehud had no proximity, and the proximity he gained was by actually diving massively to get onto his door, especially there on the last zone. On the second run there, I think you saw it was a really good chase by Elias, so he takes advantage over both runs.
There we are, we're moving on. Just in case you haven't seen Enough of the Red Bull Drift Brothers on track, you're about to see some more, because his brother, Joe Hutanji, now goes up against Jakub Szmuszkiewicz. Poland versus Germany, 700 versus 700 horsepower. These guys have very little difference between them in terms of grip and horsepower. However, Joe Hutanji comes in here as the current and reigning King of Europe champion. He's got more trophies in the cabinet, but one man that is not very far away from him is Szmuszkiewicz, and he's had a little bit of trouble at the end of practice with the car cutting out, so I'm hoping they've got those problems rectified. Very unusual machinery, as you can see here on the grid. Hutanji driving a car that is a 180SX Nissan pickup truck with a Mitsubishi front end and an American Chevrolet engine. Try and figure that one out. Well, we're going to try and figure out the track end too as he leads in Szmuszkiewicz into that first corner. Szmuszkiewicz coming through the gears here, and he is going for it. Look at that big weight transfer entry from Joe Hutanji into that first corner.
Yeah, as he fires it in nice and high on the bank, you can see Szmuszkiewicz now just riding the foot brake down on the bank. Going to try and gain some proximity now as they transition into that second front zone. Szmuszkiewicz needs to now make the dive and start to get up the door, otherwise Hutanji is going to start pulling away as they now stand on the accelerator and transition through the centre of the circuit. Yeah, look at this. Joe Hutanji gets into it nice and high on that third outer zone, and no answer really from Jakub Szmuszkiewicz.
No, he just didn't have the pace there, Ian, and you can see it. Not only does he not have the pace, but Joe Hutanji's taking the corners faster. He's throwing it in faster. He's feeling more confident. Szmuszkiewicz is holding back a little bit there. Yeah, I think that's going to be an advantage to Joe Hutanji all day long, which is great in my opinion. To see these Red Bull Drift Brothers now start to find that pace and start to move along. And just remember, if Joe Hutanji was to win this battle, he would go up against his own brother in the top 16. How interesting would that be? But Šmušković has a lot of say still left in this battle. We're only halfway through. And if I know one thing about Jakub Šmušković is we've counted him out before, and he always stands a fighting chance. So in the lead position, he'll have to dictate this run and put in a clean run, but at any moment we can see cars in the wall here. So Joe Hutunji's going to have to try and play it safe, but still get on that door.
Yeah, he's going to have to play it very, very safe, like you say, Dave, and try and force the win. He looks like very strong in that lead position, but can he be strong in the chase position and get that Red Bull 180SX on the door of Jakub Šmušković's E36 BMW? We are waiting to get the green light from our start line marshal.
Yeah,
as the smoke lingers in the circuit.
Yeah,
no
air circulation in here. That's why they're letting the smoke just clear a little bit, so the good visibility for both of these drivers. It looks like they're pointing at the light, meaning that both of these cars are ready to go as they head off the start line. It will be Šmušković in the lead position, Hutunji in the chase. Look at that late dive on the front brake from Hutunji, and he's got the pace here to stay with Šmušković. Had great proximity from the off as the German Red Bull driver now starts to transition into this scary outer concrete zone. Both drivers though staying in it and staying committed. Look at this from Joe Hutunji starting to dial it in. Now this is the transition. He's going to make a big lurch here, as you can imagine, onto his door. And look at that, just playing a little bit of off throttle there. And Šmušković, what a great lead run from him. Giving Joe Hutunji plenty to look at there. Very solid performance from both of these guys. The German and Polish members of our fan base, delighted to see these guys go head to head. Great clean battle, and we're seeing a little bit less stop and start with guys in the wall. Maybe they've just said, you know what, I don't think I'm going to crash today. I've just decided it. It's not cool. We've seen a few guys do it. You know, it takes ages to clean up the track. The cars are complete write-offs. Let's just stay on the track and have a good battle. So that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to get those guys up to our decision marshal, and it looks like the judges have made a decision as the graphic pops up on the screen. Who's going to take it through? Jakub Šmušković on the left, Joe Hutunji on the right. Kieran, Kevin and David make it unanimous. Joe Hutunji gets the winner, goes through to the top 16. We go back to our judges for that one. Pretty easy decision for you guys.
Yeah, relatively easy decision there for us. Joe's lead run was really, really good, well on the qualifying line. Unfortunately, Jakub just didn't have the legs to keep up with him. He really didn't have good proximity throughout the run, and he was really sacrificing his line to try to get on Joe's door, but unfortunately he was really sacrificing the qualifying line to just try to do that. You switch him around then, and Jakub, he had an okay line, but he really wasn't deep into the zones. Joe, on the other hand, had a much better proximity and was able to maintain that qualifying line while maintaining that proximity as well. So over the two runs, Joe coming away with advantage both times and easily taking the run.
So there we go. Joe Hutunji will face his brother Eli in a brother shoot-off for the top 16.
Yeah, and both Shanahan brothers end up in the wall, but the two Hutunji brothers having a great weekend here in Poland. They will face each other in the top 16, leaving us with one final little score to settle here in the top 32, which will be Pavel Grosz and Nigel Colfer. They go to one more time here. That is our last battle. We'll take a small break. You see the Irish flags now being raised in the grandstands for Nigel Colfer. We have...
How is that possible?
We have people everywhere.
You come to Poland,
we have people everywhere.
Irish supporting.
Yeah, we have people everywhere. You never...
Did you bring him in, Dave? You shipped some in?
We may have. You're never more than 2 miles away from an Irish person. Yep, that is a fact. Anywhere in the world, even in the desert. So right now, Pavel Grosz is going up again. He's got the home fans behind him, though. I mean, the Polish driver is going to have a big advantage here. Everyone's screaming for him. There's like 3 people screaming for Nigel Colfer. That's about an Irish people here. But 21 nations, and I've seen a flag for almost every one of them here this weekend, which I absolutely love. People traveling out, flying out to support their favorite driver. That's what it's all about. And as Colfer comes offline, Pavel Grosz not giving him an inch here, Ian.
No, look at this. Pavel Grosz wants to get the job done and make his way to top 16 as he dives on the door already. But look at the line from Nigel Colfer as he smokes up those Westlake tyres at the back of the Acorn Insurance S13. He transitions in. Oh, Grosz takes out the water barrier, but he makes the dive again, and Grosz almost making contact with Nigel Colfer, who is absolutely flying. This is Nigel Colfer on top form right now. He fires it into the third and final out zone as Grosz starts to find the door, but he's off line and off proximity as Colfer takes it home.
Yeah, incredible lead run there from Nigel Colfer. I have to say, though, really impressed with the proximity from Pavel Grosz there. He stayed in it when he couldn't see anything at times, with the amount of smoke being thrown up from Colfer's car. That was like using the force, Ian, saying, I presume he's somewhere through that smoke and I'm going to stay full throttle behind him on counter steer. And that's how brave you've got to be at this level. And incredible stuff as both guys return back to the start line. I think this one's very much in the balance.
Yeah, you know what, for me, I think it looks like Nigel Colfer went back to the pits and went, give me all the grip all the smoke. I'm going to beat this guy, because he's turned it on a notch from the first half of the battle, and you can just see how guys preparing the circuit. From the first time these guys battled, that's a different Nigel Coulthard.
Yeah, and I think, well, also, you got to remember that once these guys go one more time, essentially, they know that what they put out the first time wasn't good enough. They know that the first runs, while they were solid, are not going to put this guy away. So when they go back out for these second, you know, this is why we see the one more times always bring a higher level of driving, because they've realized that he ain't going away. I've got to go another 10% or 20% higher and faster and more committed than I was in the first run. And that's where we get these moments where you see Pavel Grosz for the first time this weekend make contact with those water barriers, because he's pushing that hard.
Yeah, exactly, and we know that Nigel Coulthard's pushing very, very hard. He's looking to take a place in top 16 and move his championship along at the moment. And Nigel Coulthard, you know, not dissimilar to European driving. This guy's been touring Europe for a few years now, took the win at Hockenheim last year. So he's not scared of these guys. He knows the game plan, and like I say, it looks like he's turned it up a notch for this one more time battle. But it does look like our track is almost ready to go. The last piece of Pavel Grosz's car just getting swept up there and pushed out of the way, so that we've got a nice, clean, fresh circuit ready to rock and roll. They get the thumbs up from our start line marshal. What is going to happen in the second half of this battle? As Nigel Coulthard now chases down Pavel Grosz, they come off the line, and look at this, Coulthard not giving Grosz an inch now as he fires it in.
Yeah, Grosz though, look at this Coulthard left napping a small bit, as he doesn't have the same kind of proximity that Grosz had. This means a big dive. Coulthard, no, he's got to make a big dive here, and he does, but he's coming in very hot, has to dial on the angle to stay in and not make contact with that wall. Coulthard's back in the fight now, but is the damage done from the first half of the course? And look at the speed of Grosz into that last section. He is a rocket ship through there, right to the edge of the circuit, and Coulthard cannot believe the pace of that E30 twin turbo around that circuit. That is incredible. We did not expect that in.
No, I didn't expect that at all. You know what, seeing the pace that Coulthard had in the first half of that battle, it kind of looked like the Drift Patriot Pavel Grosz got left behind a little bit, but you know what, it came out and surprised everyone. His fans are on their feet and cheering him. He turned it on. He turned it on when it mattered, and he knew he had to kind of drive away from Nigel Coulthard. So,
well, from my perspective, I think it leaves the question again with the judges of what is going to happen there. It cannot go one more time again. So they have to make a call on this. And that's going to be another tough call, I think, for the judges, that they're going to have to come down to the most minute of details here to separate these two drivers. Will it be Poland? Will it be Ireland going through to take that last top 16 spot? Then we will have 16. You can see the smoke just linger in the air here under the floodlights, but left from Grosz, right for Coulthard, who's taken that last spot in the top 16. And Kieran goes for Pavel Grosz. It's Pavel Grosz getting the win. Poland take down Ireland. It's 2-1, Poland versus Ireland in the top 32s. In fairness, actually it's 3-1, with James Dean, the only Irishman remaining in the competition. So Poland looking very strong out there in the Nations Cup right now as Pavel Grosz. Big congratulations from even the media here in Poland for Pavel Grosz going through, and a big smile and handshake from Nigel Coulthard. And from my perspective right now, Pavel Grosz, he can't believe it.
He can't believe it. You know why? Because Nigel Coulthard is such a big name. But Dave, we need to throw it to our judges, find out what they made of that one.
Thank you, Ian. If we compare both runs at this moment, the lead runs were very solid from both guys, like very, very nice lead runs. But then if we need to compare the chase runs, then Pavel have like way more solid chase, and that's why he went through.
So there we go, Pavel Grosz. Better chase run overall over the two runs, and yeah, Pavel Grosz forcing the win, moving it through to the top 16, Dave, and that does round out our top 16 here at round 4, Dave. And well, I mean, thrills. Like I said earlier, thrills, spills, and some high-end action, and we have got
I've seen
some stacked grid.
I don't know. I mean, we're supposed to sit here and give you information at home about what's going on. I don't know what's going on. The good guys are in the wall. The guys we've never heard of are winning. Championships all over the place. Everybody's crashing. People are breaking down. There's champions going home left and right. We've got pieces of paper here that tell us how great they are, that they crash, and then other guys we're not too sure and they win. So for the next 2 or 3 hours, we're going to have a very unpredictable and exciting top 16. Remember, the qualifying, top 32, all the practice, it all comes down to our next portion of the show, which is the top 16. Right now, though, we're taking a small break, and we will be back with all the action from the top 16 here at the Drift Masters European Championship. We'll kick it off with a parade introducing our 16 being, I'm going to say, survivalists at this stage. Then they go to war with one guy taking home the trophy at the end. Until then, from me and Ian, we're back very shortly with more action from here in Torún in Poland for round 4 of the Drift Masters European Championship. Don't go anywhere.